News of the attack by the 19 sects quickly spread throughout the Jade Pure sect. News of the attack by the 19 sects quickly spread throughout the Jade Pure sect. However, Li Qingzi did not panic. He asked the elders of the 18 peaks and the outer sect elders to stabilize their morale. He activated the sect protection formation first, and all disciples were not allowed to go out to fight. The disciples did not panic either. They were all waiting for someone. Deity-slaying elder. The elders had already revealed that deity-slaying elder wanted to face the 19 sects alone to reduce casualties. Li Qingzi did not plan to do so initially, but to their surprise, the 19 sects did not split up. This was the perfect opportunity for deity-slaying elder to capture them all. Han Ju had already moved. The moment he walked out of the Khanate cave abode, the black hell chicken appeared. Master, there are many auras in the distance. Are there enemies invading? Are we going to escape? The black hell chicken asked anxiously. Han Ju walked around it and said, they're just a bunch of chickens and dogs. Why do we need to run? With that, he turned into a gust of wind and left the Cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain. The black hell chicken looked in the direction he had left in worship. Wait. What did he mean by chickens and dogs? The black hell chicken felt offended. But on second thought, it was a phoenix, not a chicken. The one who was offended was that fat dog. The black hell chicken was amused instead. The cultivators of the 19 sects were nervous and excited at the same time. The Jade Pure sect is up ahead. Is that Senior Wei Yuan really a Void Amalgamation Realm cultivator? Of course. The Jade Pure sect's deity-slaying elder is the #1 cultivator in the Great Yen. Without Void Amalgamation Realm cultivation, who would dare to come? This battle will definitely go down in history. The Jade Pure sect is doomed. Zhou Fan and Mo Fuzhou are so arrogant, but the Jade Pure sect still doesn't kick them out. They're the scum of the righteous path. The cultivators discussed and encouraged each other. Li Qianlong and Wei Yuan walked at the front. They did not move quickly. Wei Yuan was full of confidence and did not care about the Jade Pure sect at all. He thought, if I end the battle too quickly, how can I display the strength of a Void Amalgamation Realm cultivator? Follow new episodes on the Light Novel World. Com platform. At this moment, Han Ju appeared. He flew over on top of the Qilin sword. He could fly directly, but he felt that flying on a sword was cooler. With the help of the Six Paths spirit energy, his face was covered by mist, making it impossible to see his true appearance. Wei Yuan's gaze landed on Han Ju. 9th level of the Foundation Establishment Realm? What the heck? Wait. His body. Wei Yuan widened his eyes. He had lived for more than 1,000 years and was very knowledgeable. He could see through Han Ju's numinous treasures at a glance. He was covered in numinous treasures. Wei Yuan wasn't so rich. He only had one numinous treasure on him, and it was not a defensive one, but a piece of offensive equipment. Li Qianlong didn't have Wei Yuan's vision, but he instantly guessed that this person was the deity-slaying elder. He immediately raised his hand, gesturing for the 19 sects to stop. All the cultivators looked at Han Ju. The Jade Pure sect sent only one person to face them. Such arrogance. Could he be the legendary? Instantly, all the cultivators of the 19 sects shut up and did not dare to let their guard down. Han Ju's gaze locked onto Wei Yuan. How could he have a hard time fighting someone at the first level of the Void Amalgamation Realm when he was at the second level? Should he put up a performance? Would it be a problem if he showed too much strength? Forget it. Too troublesome. He should just kill the person directly. Han Ju got an idea as he was getting closer and closer to Wei Yuan. Wei Yuan took out a wooden staff embedded with various crystals and prepared to fight. He sent a voice transmission to Li Qianlong and asked, is this person really not Daoist 9 cauldrons? This number of numinous treasures was too terrifying. For a moment, Wei Yuan wanted to admit defeat. Follow new episodes on the light novel world. Com platform. Li Qianlong replied with a voice transmission, "No, it should be deity slaying elder. I've heard that he only has outstanding talent. It's said that he was born in the outer sect of the Jade Pure sect and is less than 300 years old. Less than 300 years old? Nonsense. Where did the great Yen cultivation world get so many treasures? This person was definitely not from the Jade Pure sect." Just as Wei Yuan was hesitating, Han Ju suddenly rushed over. He was extremely fast. Wind God technique. The strong wind blew over, and Wei Yuan subconsciously raised his wooden staff. This young man. He doesn't have any morals. Why didn't he introduce himself before the battle? Wei Yuan was furious. He waved his staff and Han Ju waved his palm. In an instant, 6 lights burst out from Han Ju's palm and spun at high speed, forming a circular seal. 6 Paths Ultimate Seal. Boom! A strong light burst forth, causing the world to lose its color. All cultivators closed their eyes. Wei Yuan felt an extremely terrifying force crushing down on him. His wooden staff couldn't block it at all. The force entered his body and melted his spirit energy. Oh no! Wei Yuan was shocked. Before he could think further, his mind went blank. The 6 Paths Ultimate Seal directly obliterated his essence soul. Instant kill. There was no doubt about it. Han Ju could kill Daoist 9 Cauldrons, who was at the 8th level of the Void Amalgamation Realm when he was at the 1st level. It was naturally easy for him to deal with Wei Yuan. When the strong light dissipated, Li Qianlong opened his eyes and saw that Wei Yuan's corpse was being carried by Han Ju. His limbs hung down naturally. Wei Yuan's eyes were widened, he had obviously died with a grievance. His pupils had lost their luster. Li Qianlong was almost frightened to death. He shouted in horror, "Senior Wei Yuan." Han Ju recognized his aura. Wasn't this Li Qianlong? Perfect timing. Han Ju raised his right index finger and used the unparalleled finger divine sword, and the sword aura pierced through Li Qianlong's chest. The overbearing 6 Paths spirit energy entered Li Qianlong's body and destroyed his golden core. It then tore apart his nascent soul and severely injured his essence soul. Boom! Li Qianlong spat out blood, and the spirit energy in his body dissipated. Another instant kill. Li Qianlong froze in the air as blood flowed from his 7 apertures. He was in an extremely miserable state. He raised his head with difficulty and asked in disbelief, "You, how? Everything happened too quickly." The battle had yet to begin, but Wei Yuan died while he got crippled instantly. The thousands of cultivators from the 19 sects were all stunned. Han Ju smiled disdainfully. "How?" "Because I cultivate an immortal emperor cultivation technique. I have top-notch cultivation potential. Not to forget, unparalleled providence. Isn't killing you as simple as killing a chicken or a dog?" Han Ju raised his hand and pulled Li Qianlong in front of him. He looked at the 19 sects and left without saying anything. There were too many cultivators here. If he killed all of them, the Jade Pure sect would become the public enemy of the great Yen cultivation world. Not only that, but the entire cultivation world of the great Yen would be weakened. At that time, the other states and dynasties might take advantage of the situation. Wei Yuan's death was enough to shock the entire 19 sects. Sweating profusely, a cultivator looked at his sect master and asked in a trembling voice, "Sect master, are we still attacking?" The sect master cursed, "Attack? What attack? Are you a spy? We're here to reinforce the Jade Pure sect. Young people like you lack foresight. The future of our sect is worrying." After Han Ju crippled Li Qianlong, he threw him onto the main peak and let Li Qingzi lead the way. He then returned to the Khanate cave abode and placed Wei Yuan's corpse on the ground. With a flip of his right hand, a soul appeared in his palm. It was the sect master of the Raincoat sect, Huang Zuantian. Han Ju didn't kill him. Instead, he kept his soul in the depths of his own soul. Han Ju asked expressionlessly, "Do you want to revive?" Wei Yuan was the Nine Dragons sect's vice sect master. Killing him would definitely result in a deep enmity with the Nine Dragons sect, so Han Ju wanted Huang Zuantian to occupy his body. To be precise, Wei Yuan wasn't completely dead. His essence soul had been destroyed, but his body's life force was still there. The source of this content is Light Novel World. Of course, once his essence soul was destroyed, his body wouldn't last much longer. Revive? Revive? Huang Zuantian was stunned. Immediately, ecstasy filled his heart. Huang Zuantian has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 3 stars. Han Ju raised his eyebrows slightly when he saw this line. Favorability went up just like that. Han Ju was still hesitating about how to brainwash Huang Zuantian. Great! This would save him a lot of trouble. Huang Zuantian took a deep breath and looked up at him. Fellow Taoist. No, senior, I've thought about many things in the past few decades. I'm indeed not suitable to be the master of a sect. If you're willing to revive me, I definitely won't return to the Raincoat sect. Return to the Raincoat sect? What was he thinking? The Raincoat sect was long gone. Han Ju calmly said, "This body is the vice sect master of the Nine Dragons sect of the West Abyss state. He's a genuine void amalgamation realm great cultivator. I destroyed his essence soul and hope that you can replace him. I'm not afraid of the Nine Dragons sect, but I'm afraid of endless trouble. Like you, I hope to cultivate in peace. A void amalgamation realm cultivator." Huang Zuantian's eyelids twitched. He did not die in vain. Huang Zuantian was filled with fear. Han Ju said, "I've left my mark in your soul. If you dare to disobey me in the future, I can crush you with a thought. If you listen to my instructions, don't worry, I'll let you live a decent life. You only need to help me stabilize the Nine Dragons sect and hide this matter." This was true. After decades of soul imprisonment, his soul had already gained control of Huang Zuantian. The 6 paths of reincarnation technique was so domineering. Han Ju didn't need to cast any special spell. He only needed to suppress the enemy's soul deep within his soul. With time, he would be able to subtly control the enemy. Huang Zuantian hurriedly nodded and said, "I swear that I will never be your enemy from now on." Han Ju nodded and severed his 6 paths spirit energy. Huang Zuantian entered Wei Yuan's body. Possession took time. Words appeared in front of Han Ju. "You successfully protected the Jade Pure sect and obtained a spell manual. The source of this content is Light Novel World. Congratulations on obtaining the Still Phase technique. Still Phase technique. By using this spell, you can force the opponent to reveal his true form. It is effective on all living beings." Not bad. Han Ju didn't inherit it directly but waited for Huang Zuantian to succeed. On the other side, the cultivators of the 19 sects remained outside the Jade Pure sect. Their sect masters did not leave but followed Li Qingzi into the main peak. Han Ju's performance was too terrifying. All the sect masters were scared out of their wits. They no longer dared to attack the Jade Pure sect, much less leave. If they didn't resolve the animosity with such a terrifying enemy, they wouldn't be able to eat or sleep in peace. Arriving at the main peak's main hall, Li Qingzi began to investigate the truth. This time, no one dared to attack him. They even had to be careful when speaking to him. In the cultivation world, the strong were respected. After some communication, the blame was pushed onto Li Qianlong. Li Qingzi threw the crippled Li Qianlong out and confronted him. A huge calamity in the Great Yen cultivation world was successfully resolved by Han Ju's 2 attacks. 7 days later, Huang Zuantian succeeded in the possession. He felt as if he was in a dream. He had been bitterly pursuing the void amalgamation realm but to no avail. He didn't expect to become a void amalgamation realm cultivator like this. Was this a blessing in disguise? Huang Zuantian's favorability towards you has increased. Current favorability, 5 stars. Seeing this hint, Han Ju smiled in satisfaction. He liked Huang Zuantian even more. Huang Zuantian took a deep breath and walked in front of him. He bowed respectfully. Han Ju instructed, go directly to the West Abyss State. If you can't lie, keep quiet. After all, you're a great cultivator at the Void Amalgamation realm. They won't dare to interrogate you. Huang Zuantian nodded. Don't worry, I will definitely stabilize the 9 Dragons sect. He turned around and left. Follow new episodes on the Light Novel World. Com platform. At the entrance, he suddenly turned around and asked, do you need me to become the sect master? He was very experienced in fighting for the position of sect master. Han Ju's expression turned strange, and he said, that's up to you. I won't restrict you. As long as you don't disturb me and the Jade Pure sect, you can develop as you wish. Huang Zuantian asked, how should I address you? What's your Dao title? Deity-slaying elder was only a position, not Han Ju's Dao title. Han Ju thought for a moment and then said, reincarnation. Reincarnation. This Dao title was very meaningful. Huang Zuantian smiled and bowed again. After he left, Han Ju began to inherit the still phase technique. A month later, there was a commotion in the cultivation world of Great Yen. The Jade Pure sect wanted Zhou Fan and Mo Fuzhou to be arrested, while the righteous and demonic paths joined forces to expel the Wei family. The itinerant cultivators were confused. What exactly happened? Apart from having a wide network, the Wei family was not very powerful. They quickly fled with the rest of the family, far away from the cultivation world of the Great Yen. Peace came to the cultivation world of Great Yen. Li Qingzi had already declared to the various sects that the Jade Pure sect had no intention of dominating the world and only wanted to cultivate peacefully. At the same time, he hoped that the Great Yen cultivation world would be united and not give other cultivation sects a chance. Han Ju had already displayed his domineering strength. The various sects were naturally more than willing to accept Li Qingzi's suggestion. If you can't win, then don't fight. 10 years passed in a flash. Han Ju broke through to the 3rd level of the Void Amalgamation realm. This realm was indeed not simple. He had to spend so much time in the early stages. But compared to Han Ju's lifespan, it was nothing. Xing Hongxian had not returned for the past 10 years, but the gray-robed elder who had comprehended the cultivation technique with her had already left. With the heavenly puppet around, Han Ju wasn't afraid that something would happen to her. Ever since the Jade Pure sect had issued the arrest warrant, Zhou Fan and Mo Fuzhou seemed to have vanished into thin air and no longer stirred up trouble. However, Han Ju could still see their actions from the emails occasionally. Follow current novels on Light Novel World. He even suspected that they were together. After all, they had always been close. Han Ju had already imagined a complete BL drama. The male protagonist was forced to become a demon. The second male protagonist couldn't bear it and sacrificed himself to follow him. They became demons together and accompanied each other forever. While cultivating, Han Ju habitually opened his interpersonal relationships to check his emails. Your good friend Huang Zuantian was attacked by an itinerant cultivator. Your disciple Yang Tiandong has made a name for himself among the demons. He has more than 100,000 subordinates. Your divine pet chaotic heavenly dog was attacked by a demon king, X68, your beloved Xian Qingjun has returned to the mortal realm. Your good friend Xing Hongxian had an epiphany. She has comprehended a mystical power. Your good friend Guan Yugang is afraid of you and has developed a mental demon. Your disciple Su Chi spread bad luck and kills millions of lives. His negative karma is insurmountable. Han Ju frowned. This disciple was a true jinx. He had only left for a few decades, but he had already caused the deaths of millions of lives. Han Ju suddenly regretted it. Should he have kept Su Chi by his side? However, on second thought, if he stayed by his side, he might bring disaster to the Jade Pure sect. That wouldn't do. Compared to harming the people he knew, he would rather let strangers die. Besides, Su Chi's jinx status was not given to him by Han Ju. If there was anyone to blame, it would be the heavenly court. They insisted on demoting him. As for his eldest disciple, was Yang Tiandong not coming back? Did he plan to be a demon king forever? Han Ju was helpless. Why were all his disciples like this? Detected bearer of Connate Providence, checking its origin. The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. Kame hint suddenly appeared in front of Han Ju. Boy love. How many years had it been? How many years had it been? He finally encountered another bearer of Connate Providence. Interested, Han Ju checked his background. Sun Chang'an, 7th level of Foundation Establishment Realm, reincarnation of the ancient spiritual ginseng. In his previous life, he was raised by the Buddhists. Due to his fate with a demoness, he fell into a love trap. The gods and Buddhas were furious and sent him into the mortal world to experience the tribulation of emotions for tens of thousands of years. Only by completely forgetting himself and severing his emotions can he escape the pain of reincarnation. This is his 39th life. Sun Chang'an was born into a cultivation family. Even though he was talented and had an ugly appearance, he was not liked by his loved ones. After being mocked by his loved ones, he was heartbroken and shaved his head to become a monk. When he heard that the Jade Pure sect's deity-slaying elder was the #1 cultivator in the world, he specially came to acknowledge him as his master. He wanted to cultivate with the deity-slaying elder and forget the mortal world. Special reminder, Sun Chang'an is the ancient spiritual ginseng that can increase the spirit qi within a certain range. This is also the reason why Sun Chang'an has an outstanding aptitude. Han Ju was stunned. Reincarnation of the ancient spiritual ginseng? And he came especially to find him? Han Ju had a strange expression. He noticed the last sentence. The ancient spiritual ginseng could increase the spirit qi of heaven and earth. Wow! A human-shaped spirit qi-producing machine. Han Ju swept his divine sense over. Sun Chang'an had already arrived at the foot of the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain. This fellow was really ugly. His facial features were strange. He had a unibrow and several long, black moles on his face. His figure could only be said to be ordinary. He wore a kasaya and had a shiny bald head. Sun Chang'an walked to a stone tablet and said, "Cultivate diligently, become immortal." This must be the cave abode of the deity-slaying elder. Sun Chang'an's eyes burned as he knelt in front of the stone tablet. He put his palms together and shouted, "I'm Sun Chang'an. I wish to become the disciple of the deity-slaying elder." With that, he began to kowtow. Ever since the 19 sects had returned in failure, deity-slaying elder had been turned into a god in the world of the great Yen cultivators. His legends began to spread. Apart from being powerful, what was most famous was his heart of cultivation. Sun Chang'an had met Jade Pure sect disciples before. He had heard that the deity-slaying elder was indeed an ascetic. Apart from breaking through and stopping intruders, he had never left his cave abode. Sun Chang'an felt that this person would be able to help him out of his misery. He did not want to love again. He did not want to think about her anymore. Han Ju heard but ignored him. Although Sun Chang'an could help increase the spirit qi of heaven and earth, it could also attract trouble. Han Ju did not want to accept a disciple so easily. Follow current novels on Light Novel World. Calm Sun Chang'an did not receive a reply and continued to kneel. Spring passed and autumn came. Sun Chang'an had become famous in the Jade Pure sect. He was an independent cultivator who had been kneeling in front of the Cultivate diligently become immortal mountain day and night, wanting to become a disciple of the deity-slaying elder. This willpower was something that people loved talking about. From time to time, disciples would pass by here just to see him. Under the warning of the Jade Pure sect elders, the disciples did not dare to stay in the Cultivate diligently become immortal mountain. Something worthy of mentioning was that no one actually came to expel Sun Chang'an. Han Ju guessed that the cultivation family Sun Chang'an came from was not simple. Li Qingzi might have also tacitly allowed him to come and acknowledge him as his master. Sun Chang'an did not shout again since the first time. He knelt in front of the stone tablet and occasionally kowtowed. He knelt for 5 years. A total of 5 years. Sun Chang'an did not even stand up. Han Ju was moved by his will. This person's cultivation heart is not bad. He shouldn't cause trouble after coming, right? On this day, Mo Zhu came to visit. It had been decades since Han Ju last saw her. She had been cultivating in the Jade Pure sect's secret hall. Han Ju waved his hand and moved her into the cave abode. After not seeing her for decades, Mo Zhu was no longer as inexperienced as before. She was more like a fairy. She wore a black robe and looked at Han Ju with a complicated gaze. Han Ju looked at her makeup and asked with a smile, "Miss Mo, are you going to follow your brother and become a demon?" Mo Zhu sighed and said, "That's right. I plan to leave the Jade Pure sect and follow my brother to seek revenge." Revenge? Han Ju frowned and said, "So many years have passed. Can't you let go of the grudge?" He immediately sent out his divine sense. "I thought that I had let it go, but ever since I started cultivating, the hatred in my heart has become my inner demon. If I can't get through it, the inner demon will always hold me back, making me unable to reach the nascent soul realm. I came here to bid you farewell." Mo Zhu took a deep breath and said, "In the entire Jade Pure sect, other than my family, you are the one I care about the most. You saved me before, and you are also the only man who has moved my heart." Han Ju frowned even more. Crap. Visit Light Novel World. Calm for a better experience. Was she going to confess? "I'm telling you this not because I want you to do anything for me. I know you desire to pursue the Tao. If I can return in the future, I will cultivate together with you and pursue the great Tao." Mo Zhu smiled. "I'm afraid that if I don't say it now, I'll regret it." She quickly walked in front of Han Ju and wanted to kiss him. Han Ju didn't dodge. It was just a kiss on the cheek. Like a dragonfly touching the water. Mo Zhu pulled back with a flushed face. She asked softly, "Han Ju, if I can return safely, are you willing to marry me?" Han Ju said calmly, "Isn't it good to cultivate together? We can talk about this after we become immortals." Mo Zhu smiled. Her smile was breathtakingly beautiful. He did not refuse. That was enough. Han Ju grabbed her hand, stunning Mo Zhu. She looked at him expectantly. However, Han Ju quickly let go. He had only imprinted his 6 paths insignia on her soul. The difference in their cultivation levels was too great, so she couldn't sense it. "That's all," Han Ju said expressionlessly. Mo Zhu nodded and left. The moment she turned around, she wanted to cry. She wondered if they would ever meet again. Why didn't he ask me to stay? Why didn't he follow me? Mo Zhu couldn't help but develop such thoughts. But she quickly composed herself. After all, this was the path she had chosen. After leaving the Khanate cave abode, Mo Zhu was caught. Yeah. She was caught by Daoist Jingxiu and Li Qingzi. You want to betray the sect? For more, visit Light Novel World. Calm no way. When she expressed her intention, Han Ju directly used his divine sense to inform Li Qingzi. How would Li Qingzi dare to let Mo Zhu betray the sect? How much trouble had Mo Fuzhou and Zhou Fan caused the sect already? Han Ju. Mo Zhu's voice was filled with bitterness. Then, she was taken away by Li Qingzi and his companion. Han Ju especially reminded Li Qingzi not to mistreat her and arranged a place for her to be imprisoned for cultivation. Li Qingzi nodded understandingly. In the woods, a fat black chicken lamented, "You want to eat my master? Dream on, woman." Han Ju didn't think too much and focused on Sun Chang'an at the foot of the mountain. This person had knelt for 5 years. There was no harm in taking him as a disciple. He shouldn't be running around. As long as he stayed on the mountain to cultivate with him, there would be no problem. Han Ju waved his hand and moved Sun Chang'an into the cave abode. Sun Chang'an was slightly dazed, but he remained kneeling on the ground, swaying. Even though he was a Foundation Establishment realm cultivator, kneeling for 5 years was still somewhat unbearable. "Why aren't you calling me master?" Han Ju said coldly. Sun Chang'an subconsciously looked up at him. Damn! He was really ugly. Up close, the visual impact was tremendous. Sun Chang'an suddenly jolted awake. Deity! Slaying Elder? He hurriedly kowtowed to Han Ju. Disciple Sun Chang'an greets Master. Disciple Sun Chang'an greets Master. Disciple Sun Chang'an greets Master. Sun Chang'an wept with joy. 5 years. He had knelt for 5 years. 4 lines of words suddenly appeared in front of Han Ju. You have accumulated 3 connate providence bearers as disciples. Your providence has increased. Your cultivation development has changed. You have the following choices. 1. The path of the sword immortal. Enter the Tao with the sword. After reaching the Mahayana realm, one can ascend to the immortal world and become a sword immortal above the heavens. Robes of fully ordained Buddhist monks and nuns, named after a brown or saffron dye. The path of the 6 paths of reincarnation. Use spells to break into the Tao. After reaching the Mahayana realm, one can enter the underworld and become a ghost sword immortal. The path of the sword immortal of reincarnation. Cultivate both the sword Tao and the Tao of reincarnation. You can leave the 3 realms and travel freely among the 5 elements. Han Ju saw the 3 choices in front of him and didn't hesitate. Han Ju saw the 3 choices in front of him and didn't hesitate. The third option included the first 2, it was clearly stronger. The third option had more places to go, too. Not only to the immortal world or underworld but anywhere. So, Han Ju directly chose the third option. You chose the path of the sword immortal of reincarnation and obtained a mystical power inheritance. When your 6 paths cultivation potential and sword Tao are cultivated to the peak, you will enter the next stage. Congratulations on obtaining mystical power, Firmament Sword Qi, Firmament Sword Qi, Sword Tao Mystique. Cultivates a Firmament Sword Qi in the golden core. By spitting out Sword Qi, it is extremely lethal. Spitting out Sword Qi. Not bad, it was a little showy. Han Ju smiled in satisfaction. He looked at Sun Chang'an again and said, once you become my disciple, you can't leave this mountain unless you become immortal. Are you willing? Sun Chang'an was pleasantly surprised. As expected of the number 1 cultivator of Great Yen. Sun Chang'an has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 3 stars, only 3 stars. Han Ju was unhappy. Looks like this fellow doesn't like men. Sun Chang'an replied, I wanted to cultivate in seclusion and leave the mortal world, so I came to find you. Han Ju nodded and said, find a place to cultivate first. When you break through to the golden core realm, I will teach you a spell. Sun Chang'an hurriedly stood up when he heard this. However, he almost fell down right after. Han Ju clearly heard the sound of joints cracking. He shook his head and laughed. He ignored Sun Chang'an and started to inherit the firmament sword Qi. 12 years passed. Han Ju successfully broke through to the 4th level of the Void Amalgamation realm. Ever since Sun Chang'an joined, the spirit Qi in the cave abode had indeed increased. Sun Chang'an had also broken through to the Golden Core realm. Han Ju asked him to go and receive the Jade Pure technique. Follow new episodes on the Light Novel World. Com platform. After Daoist 9 Cauldrons returned, he strengthened the Jade Pure technique and could now cultivate it to the Void Amalgamation realm. Through interpersonal relationships, Han Ju noticed that the cultivation of the elders of the sect finally started to improve. Apart from cultivation techniques, the spirit Qi of the sect had greatly improved after decades of refinement by the natural treasures. The spirit Qi was like mist and could be seen with the naked eye. It covered the peaks like the legendary land of immortals, beautiful and mysterious. Regardless of whether it was the inner or outer sect, the cultivation levels of the disciples had all increased. It could be said that the entire sect was enjoying the benefits. The Jade Pure sect was quickly becoming the #1 sect of Great Yen. Guan Yogang's injuries finally healed. However, he seemed to have become a different person. He was no longer arrogant and domineering. He also often cultivated in seclusion. It was worth mentioning that over the years, Guan Yogang's favorability towards Han Ju had increased to 2.5 stars. Han Ju didn't understand what he was thinking, but it was fine as long as Guan Yugang didn't provoke him. On this day, Fairy Shi Xian came to visit. Han Ju immediately told Sun Chang'an to go out and let her in. Witnessing Fairy Shi Xian's peerless appearance, Sun Chang'an was momentarily absent-minded. When he arrived outside the cave, he couldn't help but think of his sweetheart. His heart, which had been still for a long time, began to stir again. Sun Chang'an sighed. He walked under a tree and gazed into the distance. It had been a long time since he last saw Fairy Shi Xian. When Han Ju saw her again, he was still stunned. Fairy Shi Xian was definitely the most beautiful woman he knew, especially her temperament. No wonder Li Qingzi, Li Qianlong, and Guan Yugang fought so hard for her. Fellow Daoist Han, long time no see. Fairy Shi Xian smiled. Han Ju shook his head and said, "Master, why are you so distant from me?" Fairy Shi Xian sighed. "You're already a great cultivator at the Void Amalgamation realm. You're 2 major realms higher than me. I didn't teach you anything and can't be considered your master. We were only related in name previously. If we continue to maintain this status, I won't be able to bear it and will lose my fortune." Han Ju thought about it and didn't refute her anymore. "Fairy, why are you looking for me this time?" Han Ju asked with a smile. Fairy Shi Xian said, "The Jade Pure sect is preparing to send 7 nascent soul elders to the Holy Land of the West Abyss State to discuss the Tao. Are you going?" Han Ju immediately shook his head and said, "I won't go. I don't need it." It was the truth. Fairy Shi Xian smiled. "Then forget it." The two of them chatted a little more. Not long after, Fairy Shi Xian left. The conversation between them was very calm. It was as if they were friends. Han Ju wasn't embarrassed. Instead, he felt very comfortable. With Fairy Shi Xian by his side, even if he didn't speak, his mood would still be very calm. West Abyss. "I wonder how that guy is doing," Han Ju muttered to himself. He clicked on his interpersonal link to check his emails. Too many people liked him. Most of them were from the Jade Pure sect. The emails dazzled him. Han Ju suddenly noticed a filter for special attention next to the character profiles. He immediately set the people he wanted to pay special attention into that category. He clicked open the emails again and saw an option that only focused on these people. Han Ju chose the option and the number of emails decreased greatly. "Your good friend Huang Zuentian was attacked by a fellow sect cultivator, X75, your disciple Su Chi is being hunted down by 7 sections. Your good friend Taoist 9 cauldrons comprehended nature and his lifespan increased by 300 years. Your divine pet chaotic heavenly dog was attacked by fiendish cultivators, X641, your divine pet chaotic heavenly dog was attacked by righteous cultivators, X377, your good friend Mo Fujo was attacked by righteous cultivators, X983, your good friend Zhou Fan is seriously injured. His life is hanging by a thread. Captured by the snow trampling sect. Your disciple Yang Tiandong was attacked by beasts, X3782, your disciple Yang Tiandong has awakened the demon saint bloodline. His cultivation has increased exponentially. Han Ju raised his eyebrows. Amazing. In just over a decade, these people had been attacked more than 1,000 times. Yang Tiandong was the most exaggerated, reaching 3,000. Could it be that the numbers behind represented the number of people attacking him? Han Ju felt that it should be so. How could he have been attacked 3,782 times in a little more than a decade? It was too exaggerated. Who could stand it? Visit Light Novel World. Com for the best novel reading experience. What was Yang Tiandong doing? Why did he go out and not return at all? Did he not want to leave after becoming a demon king? Or had he completely transformed into a demon and wanted to become the supreme demon? Seeing that Yang Tiandong had awakened his demon saint bloodline, Han Ju was relieved. This kid wouldn't die now. There was no need to worry about him. As for Zhou Fan, this protagonist had been captured. What an embarrassment. What kind of sect was the snow trampling sect? Why haven't I heard of it? Perhaps it's not from the great Yen cultivation world. Han Ju thought as he continued reading the emails. The more he read, the more determined he became. It was best to cultivate peacefully in the Jade Pure sect. At dusk, the setting sun was like blood and the sky was bleak. In the mountains, countless cultivators flew on their swords and floated in the air. It was a spectacular sight. All the cultivators stared in one direction. A man stood on the hill. It was Su Chi. His face was covered in blood. His hair was messy and his robes were tattered. He looked extremely pathetic. He gritted his teeth and looked at the enemies in the sky. A middle-aged man standing on the flying sword pointed at Su Chi and shouted angrily, "Demon, where are you running? You must die today." The other cultivators cursed. Su Chi was being hunted down because he had too many treasures on him. In the past few decades, he had killed countless cultivators and taken away all their treasures. Not long ago, he had accidentally displayed his wealth at the auction and was targeted by others. It wasn't easy for him to kill the intruder, but in the end, the other party's identity was too great. The elder of the deceased came to hunt him down. Just as Su Chi was about to die, the master in Su Chi's heart protected him and secretly killed the elder. Just like that, there was no end to the matter, as it involved more and more people. Su Chi had more and more storage rings, but more trouble also accompanied. Updated from Light Novel World. Calm this time, 7 sects had gathered to kill him. Su Chi was only at the Golden Core realm. How could he kill his way out? Seeing that the cultivators were about to cast spells to kill him, Su Chi couldn't help but shout, "Master! Save me! Master, save me! Master, save me!" Hearing this, all the cultivators stopped and looked around nervously. Su Chi had always been able to turn the situation around. The cultivators chasing him had all died, so they had always suspected that there was someone behind him. So it was his master. The middle-aged cultivator who had cursed Su Chi earlier shouted, "Fellow Taoist! Why are you hiding in the dark? Are you feeling guilty?" However, no one answered him. The middle-aged cultivator looked at Su Chi again. He discovered that Su Chi had a mocking, smug look on his face as if they were the ones who would die instead of him. Su Qi's confidence made the middle-aged cultivator panic even more. Boom! Thunder clouds gathered and the sky quickly darkened. Everyone looked around nervously. Whoosh! A gust of wind blew, growing stronger and stronger. The cultivators were horrified to find that the wind was very strange. There were wind blades that couldn't be seen with the naked eye. They were extremely sharp and tore their clothes apart. They were so shocked that they hurriedly used their spirit energy to defend themselves. Apart from Su Qi, everyone else suffered. Su Qi had a look of admiration. As expected of senior. Wait, no. Master. Master was so powerful. Thunder rumbled and wind raged. It was as if the end of the world had arrived. Only when the first bolt struck did the seven sects realize that a nightmare had come. It was no ordinary thunder. It was heavenly thunder. For more, visit Light Novel World. A year was a long time for mortals. 18 years was enough for a person to grow up. To Hanju, it passed very quickly, like a dream. His cultivation level had broken through to the 5th level of the void amalgamation realm. The speed of his breakthrough was already very fast. One had to know that Taoist 9 Cauldrons was still stuck at the 8th level of the void amalgamation realm and Xiao Yi was still at the 2nd level. While cultivating, Han Ju imparted the Heartless Flying Sword to Sun Chang'an. After cultivating the Heartless Flying Sword for 10 years, Sun Chang'an was pleasantly surprised to find that he did not seem to be thinking about the past. Little did he know that his sexual desire was decreasing. After breaking through, Han Ju habitually took out the Book of Misfortune and cursed Xiao Yi. The emails could only focus on the situation of people he had a good relationship with. Han Ju couldn't see the situation of the enemy, but Xiao Yi's image was still there, which meant that he was still alive. Before Xiao Yi died, Han Ju wouldn't give up on cursing him. Who asked this fellow to have such a high level of hatred for him? After so many years, it did not decrease at all. Han Ju cursed him as he checked the emails in his interpersonal relationships. Most people were attacked in the last 18 years. Rather than attacking, it was more like fighting. It was impossible for everyone to be attacked. Most of the time, they would be the first to attack. The world was dangerous. He had to stay away. Perhaps with Han Ju's current cultivation, he was not afraid of being attacked. However, if this happened too many times, it would affect his cultivation. Just like Yang Tiandong and Zhou Fan, they were always in the top 3. The chaotic heavenly dog was catching up to them as well. Every time he saw the chaotic heavenly dog being beaten, Han Ju found it funny. Serves you right for not listening to me. Although the chaotic heavenly dog was constantly being beaten, its cultivation level kept increasing. It was the same for the others. It looked like they were all fighting for fortuitous encounters. Several days later, Xing Hongxian came to visit. Han Ju chased Sun Chang'an out and let her in. Husband, I've obtained a great fortuitous encounter in the past few decades and gained enlightenment of a divine technique. Do you want to learn it? I can teach it to you. Follow current novels on Light Novel World. Xing Hongxian ran to him excitedly and said as if she was presenting a treasure. Han Ju shook his head and said, I have my own divine technique. I don't need it. Xing Hongxian had indeed obtained a huge opportunity. Her cultivation level had soared to the 8th level of the Golden Core realm. She was almost catching up to Zhou Fan, a bearer of connate providence. Xing Hongxian flipped her right hand, and 2 green fruits the size of a fist appeared in her hand. She smiled and said, These are strange fruits that I found in the ancient mystic realm. After consuming them, they can increase one's blood vitality and strengthen one's physique. They're very magical. I only ate one of them, and I can crush a small mountain with one palm. Han Ju took a look and realized that this green fruit was extraordinary. He took one and started eating. The fruit entered his throat and instantly melted, turning into a hot stream that flowed into Han Ju's body. Then, Han Ju felt warm all over. The effect was obvious. Han Ju immediately ate the entire fruit. Xing Hongxian handed the remaining one to him. How can I accept this? Han Ju said helplessly but still obediently ate the green fruit. Xing Hongxian smiled, it's fine. As long as I can help you, I'll be happy. After eating the 2 green fruits, Han Ju took out some equipment and gave them to her. They were all loot seized from enemies. Xing Hongxian wanted to reject him, but Han Ju insisted, so she could only accept it. Xing Hongxian felt extremely happy. Take out your heavenly puppet. I'll improve it, Han Ju said. Xing Hongxuan's face reddened slightly upon hearing this. She reluctantly took out the heavenly puppet. Han Ju's expression turned strange. The heavenly puppet's face was actually carved out. It was Han Ju's face. Although there was a difference in their looks, their facial features were similar. The strange thing was that the mouth of the heavenly puppet was a little red as if it had been rouged. Could it be? Han Ju didn't dare to think about it. Pretending not to notice, he took the puppet and poured his 6 paths spirit energy into it. The heavenly puppet did not have a cultivation realm. He only needed to replace the 6 paths spirit energy inside to increase its battle prowess to the void amalgamation realm. The source of this content is Light Novel World. Of course, the heavenly puppet could only be raised by Han Ju. The spirit energy of others had no effect on it. The heavenly puppet was equivalent to Han Ju's spiritual incarnation. Replenishing the heavenly puppet with spirit energy was not troublesome and it wouldn't take long. Xing Hongxian sat at the side and asked softly, has Mo Zhu looked for you recently? Chang Yuer had left, but she had another love rival. After not being here for so many years, she didn't know if Mo Zhu had made a move on Han Ju. Yes, Han Ju replied and recounted what happened. Xing Hongxian sighed. What a pity. What's a pity? Nothing, Xing Hongxian replied as she waved her hand. The two of them started to chat. Xing Hongxian talked about her experiences over the years. Han Ju learned about the cultivation world through her. 10 days later. Xing Hongxian walked to the entrance. After confirming that her clothes were clean, she left with a flushed face. Han Ju sat on the bed and pulled at his wrinkled clothes. He sighed. However, he still smiled. 5 years later, Li Qingzi came to visit. Han Ju threw Sun Chang'an out again and let him in. Seeing Li Qingzi's worried expression, Han Ju's heart skipped a beat. Did something happen again? It had only been a few decades. Li Qingzi found a chair and sat down. He then looked at Han Ju and sighed. Elder Han, something bad has happened. The cultivation world of Great Way has been unified. The leader is the Blood Fire Heavenly Sect. They've found a powerful guest elder from somewhere and have said that they want to unify the cultivation world around them. Han Ju was puzzled. They're all cultivators. Instead of going into seclusion to comprehend the Tao of heaven and earth and pursue eternal life, why are they fighting for territory like ordinary people? Li Qingzi shook his head. The ambitions of fiendish cultivators will only increase as their cultivation level increases. Furthermore, the more cultivation worlds they occupy, the more cultivation resources they can obtain. How powerful is that guest elder? I'm not sure. At the very least, he's at the void amalgamation realm. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to unite the cultivation world of Great Way so quickly. Visit Light Novel World. For a better experience, could he be at the body integration realm? If so, Elder Han, what will you do? We'll see when the time comes. If it's tomorrow, I might run. Of course not tomorrow. It's a long journey. In addition to the resistance of the sects along the way, it will take at least several decades or even longer for them to reach the Jade Pure sect. I'm just informing you in advance. Of course not tomorrow. It's a long journey. In addition to the resistance of the sects along the way, it will take at least several decades or even longer for them to reach the Jade Pure sect. I'm just informing you in advance. Li Qingzi shook his head and smiled. He understood what Han Ju meant. He couldn't help but sigh. Elder Han's talent was truly rare. After a few decades, his cultivation level would definitely increase greatly. Han Ju smiled and said, "In that case, I don't have to run." They smiled at each other. Unknowingly, the person Li Qingzi relied on the most had become Han Ju. Although the two of them didn't interact much, whenever the Jade Pure sect encountered danger, the first person Li Qingzi thought of was Han Ju. "By the way, where's my disciple? Didn't you look for him after he disappeared?" Han Ju asked. Speaking of which, Yang Tiandong went missing because he followed the sect to the cultivation meeting. Li Qingzi's expression turned strange, and he said, "I found him, but he doesn't want to come back. He's already a demon king and is very famous among the demons in the Great Yen cultivation world. He might become the Great Yen demon king in another 100 years. Han Ju was speechless. Indeed. Li Qingzi smiled. Recently, several nascent soul cultivators have joined the sect. I've also convinced 2 soul formation cultivators to join the Jade Pure sect most of the year. People pursued greater ambitions. Right now, the Jade Pure sect was definitely the strongest in the cultivation world of Great Yen. The spirit chi in their sect was also far superior to that of other sections. Han Ju nodded. The stronger the Jade Pure sect was, the better it was for him. To be honest, he was definitely the most leisurely elder in the Jade Pure sect. He had only made a few moves in the past 100 years and was never overly worked. The spiritual flowers and spiritual herbs that had been cultivated on the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain were specially guarded by disciples. Han Ju only needed to do one thing. Cultivate. After so many years, your deeds as deity-slaying elder are almost forgotten. Only the older generation like us still talk about your prestige. Now, it's the world of Zhou Fan, Mo Fuzhou, Yang Tiandong, and other favored geniuses. The 3 of them can be said to be influential figures. Unfortunately, they're no longer working for the Jade Pure sect. By the way, dozens of years ago, a demonic dog ran rampant in the cultivation world. I heard from the disciples' description that the demonic dog seems to be the one raised by you. Updated from Light Novel World. Calmly Qingzi suddenly recalled something and asked. Upon arriving at the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain, he did not see the chaotic heavenly dog. Han Ju replied, "Ignore it. It wants to go out and explore. When it's afraid, it will naturally come back." Li Qingzi shook his head and laughed. The 2 of them chatted for a while before Li Qingzi stopped disturbing him. Han Ju absorbed qi while checking his interpersonal relationships. Your pet, the chaotic heavenly dog, was attacked by beasts, X578. Your good friend Zhou Fan encountered a huge fortuitous encounter and obtained an ancient numinous treasure. Your good friend Fairy Shi Xian was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X33. Your good friend Guan Yugang was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X421. Your disciple Su Qi has comprehended the heavenly Tao and obtained a mystical power. Your good friend Huang Jihao was attacked by a righteous cultivator, X798, your good friend Huang Jihao was captured by the true martial sect. Han Ju didn't see Yang Tiandong's situation, but this kid's profile picture was still there. It looked like he was in seclusion. That was good. Han Ju was really afraid that he would die. Han Ju noticed that Su Qi had actually learned a new mystical power. Interesting. Not only Su Qi, but other people also comprehended mystical powers during their cultivation. Ever since Han Ju started cultivating, he had always relied on the system's rewards. He had placed all his energy on cultivating qi and had never comprehended a mystical power himself. Why not give it a try? Han Ju had top-notch sword Dao comprehension. It shouldn't be difficult for him to comprehend a sword Dao mystical power. For more, visit Light Novel World. Cultivating all the time was boring, having an epiphany was quite interesting. Creating a divine power out of thin air required imagination. I might as well improve my mystical power. Han Ju thought for a moment and decided to gain an epiphany on the 10,000 sword sect. This sword Dao mystical power was definitely his most handsome skill. It was worth improving. Han Ju immediately closed his eyes. The 10,000 sword sect could summon at most 10,000 sword shadows in the long river of history. Although it created a huge scene, its accuracy and lethality were still poor. Han Ju suddenly had an idea. If he combined the 3 pure shadow sword technique with the 10,000 sword sect. Gasp, how terrifying. More than 10,000 sword shadows that could freely kill. He would comprehend it just like that. In high spirits, Han Ju fully focused on his epiphany. The West Abyss state was a region without any dynasties. There were many demons here, and it was difficult for mortal dynasties to enter. However, there were many cultivation sects here, even more than in the Great Yen cultivation world. The true martial sect was one of the top orthodox sects in West Abyss state. In a pavilion, Huang Jihao sat on the bed and cultivated. The door suddenly opened and a blue-robed man walked in. He had a handsome appearance, with sharp eyebrows and bright eyes, as if he had walked out of a painting. The blue-robed man walked to the table and sat down. He placed his sword on the table and poured himself a cup of tea. He smiled and said, "Huang Jihao, you still haven't thought it through." Huang Jihao opened his eyes and expressionlessly said, "I lost to you not because my sword techniques are lacking. If you give me another 100 years, I will definitely be able to defeat you. The Vermilion Bird Sword sect has raised me up, so I cannot betray the sect. For more, visit Light Novel World." The blue-shirt man smiled and said, "The true martial sect is stronger than the Vermilion Bird Sword sect. It's even stronger than the Jade Pure sect in the Great Yen cultivation world. If you join the true martial sect, I'll nurture you into the #1 sword cultivator in the world. You might even have a chance to become a sword immortal in the future. This is your opportunity, a chance that many sword cultivators dream of." Huang Jihao fell silent. If you were born in the true martial sect, you would be at least at the 8th level of the soul formation realm. You have a natural sword heart, so you shouldn't waste your talent. When you become a sword immortal, it will be an honor for the Vermilion Bird Sword sect. The blue-shirt man said seriously, his eyes even revealing anticipation. Huang Jihao smiled bitterly. Is my talent in the sword truly unparalleled? But I have seen a genius in the sword that is even more monstrous than me. That person's sword chi is even stronger than yours. Huang Jihao recalled the time when he faced Han Ju's sword chi and couldn't help but tremble. The blue-shirt man laughed loudly. He smiled and asked, "Is this man from your Great Yen?" Huang Jihao nodded. The blue-shirt man said proudly, "Absolutely impossible. There can't be a sword cultivator stronger than me in the Great Yen cultivation world." Huang Jihao asked seriously, "Have you heard of the Jade Pure sect's deity-slaying elder? His strength is already comparable to a void amalgamation realm cultivator." The 9-dragon sect's Wei Yuan returned in low spirits and did not mention a single word about the battle. It can be seen just how powerful the deity-slaying elder is. The blue-shirt man said disdainfully, "Wei Yuan doesn't have the talent. He managed to reach the void amalgamation realm by chance. In order to reach a higher level, he was even hired by others and embarrassed us void amalgamation realm cultivators. Defeating him isn't difficult." At this moment, the sword on the table suddenly vibrated. Not only his sword, but the sword by Huang Jihao's leg also vibrated. The two were shocked. Huang Jihao grabbed his sword, unable to restrain it. He couldn't help but look at the blue-robed man and ask, "What happened?" The blue-shirt man held his sword and walked out of the room. Huang Jihao followed closely behind. The two of them arrived at the courtyard. This courtyard was located on a mountain peak and could overlook most of the scenery of the true martial sect. Many disciples of the sect unsheathed their swords and flew uncontrollably to the high school. The swords in the hidden sword pavilion also broke through the door and soared into the sky. Tens of thousands of swords floated in the air. As far as the eye could see, the tips of the swords were pointed in the same direction. The scene was extremely shocking. The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. All the swords began to vibrate. The sounds converged and filled the world. A shocked expression appeared on the blue-robed man's face, and he muttered, "Worship of 10,000 swords, resonance of sword spirits. Someone has comprehended the eternal sword Tao. How can this be?" "What's the eternal sword Tao?" Huang Jihao asked. "What's the eternal sword Tao?" Huang Jihao asked. Shock filled his eyes. This was the first time he had seen the entire sect's swords fly high into the sky and bow in the same direction. Most importantly, the sword pointed in the direction of the great Yen. A guess popped into Huang Jihao's head, making him feel that it was impossible. The blue-robed man took a deep breath and said, "The eternal sword Tao is a realm of the sword Tao mystical power. In layman's terms, it's a sword Tao mystical power that only appears once in 10,000 years. I never expected that there would actually be such a genius in the sword Tao in the world today. It was a sword Tao mystical power that only appeared once in 10,000 years. Huang Jihao was stunned. A handsome face appeared in his mind. Could it be him? Huang Jihao gritted his teeth and asked, "If I join the true martial sect, can I comprehend such a divine ability?" The blue-robed man was silent. His attitude made Huang Jihao's emotions even more complicated. It took Han Ju a month to comprehend the sword Tao mystical power. He succeeded. The swordsmen in the world went mad. However, Han Ju didn't know about this. The phenomenon that happened in the true martial sect also happened in various sects in the Great Yen cultivation world, including the Jade Pure sect. Countless swords floated above the sect. All of them hummed as their sword tips pointed towards the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain. The Black Hell Chicken shuddered in fear. Han Ju heard the sword hum from outside the cave and couldn't help but open his eyes. His consciousness swept out and saw the floating swords. He was stunned. Did he cause this? He looked down at the sword shadow in his palm and clenched his right hand, causing it to vanish. Follow new episodes on the Light Novel World. Platform. The sword that floated in the sky descended. Sun Chang'an looked at Han Ju in a daze. When Han Ju comprehended the mystical power, a sword light burst out from between his brows. A strong wind circled around his body. Coupled with his numinous treasures, this image stunned Sun Chang'an. Sun Chang'an also heard the sword chimes. However, as soon as Han Ju clapped his hands, the sword chimes outside disappeared. The sword floating in the air also fell. What did that mean? The phenomenon outside was caused by Han Ju. Congratulations on comprehending the eternal level sword Tao mystical power. Please give it a name. Han Ju was slightly stunned when he saw this line of words. Eternal level. Mystical powers were divided into levels. He thought for a moment and muttered, 3 pure world cleansing. You have succeeded in bestowing the name. As this is your first time comprehending a mystical power, your providence has increased. You have the following choices. 1. Go out immediately. Shock the world with the 3 pure world cleansing. You can obtain a numinous treasure. 2. Keep a low profile and cultivate. Continue to become stronger until you are invincible. You can obtain a numinous treasure. Both rewards gave a numinous treasure. That was a rare sight. Han Ju silently chose the second option. You chose to cultivate in a low-profile manner and obtained a numinous treasure. You have obtained a third-grade numinous treasure, Earth Emperor's Soul Ward, Earth Emperor's Soul Ward, third-grade defensive numinous treasure. It can automatically block attacks that can injure its owner. Another defensive numinous treasure. And it was third grade. Awesome. Who can beat me now? Who can break my defense? Hanju thought happily. A bold thought occurred to him. If he immediately went out and did something high-profile, would the system take back the numinous treasure? Forget it. He had always wanted to keep a low profile. The system had given him a choice based on his preference. There was no need to test it. Follow current novels on Light Novel World. Han-ju took out the Earth Emperor's Soul Ward. It was a long cloth that looked like silk. It was golden in color, and when it was waved, it looked like clouds dancing. It was very beautiful. I'm a proper man. How can I wear a scarf like this? Hanju cursed in his heart. At the same time, he started to drip blood on it. It looked like a woman's item, but he would not give it away. Such a numinous treasure would bring trouble to both Xing Hongxian and Fairy Shi Xian. Wei Yuan had clearly recognized the numinous treasures on him, which was why he was so shocked. After spending a period of time, Hanju successfully made the Earth Emperor's Soul Ward recognize him as its owner. He thought for a moment and removed the Frost Lord's glazed crown from his head. Then, he tied the Earth Emperor's Soul Ward on the crown. The Earth Emperor's Soul Ward was more than 10 feet long. When it was tied to the Frost Lord's glazed crown, it automatically fluttered. It had to be said. Hanju looked even more handsome after wearing the Frost Lord's glazed crown. Sun Chang'an was dumbfounded. Is Master the reincarnation of an immortal? The Earth Emperor's Soul Ward fluttered around Hanju. He was very satisfied. He became even more handsome. At that moment, Li Qingzi came to visit. The strange phenomenon had caused quite a commotion. He had thought that there was an enemy. Hanju replied that the enemy had already fled. Li Qingzi heaved a sigh of relief and hurriedly thanked him. Someone in the current Great Yen actually dared to attack the Jade Pure sect. It seemed like there were still many hidden experts. I've to be careful in the future and not be arrogant. Li Qingzi thought silently. He didn't want to be beaten up again. West Abyss. 9 Dragons Sect. Huang Zuantian, who was also Wei Yuan, was cultivating in the Taoist temple. The interior wasn't big and the furnishings were simple. There was a huge cauldron behind him. There were 3 incense sticks in it, and smoke filled the air. The source of this content is Light Novel World. Huang Zuantian opened his eyes. An old Taoist walked into the temple. He sat down in front of Huang Zuantian and chuckled. Junior Wei, I have something to discuss with you. Huang Zuantian asked, what is it? His heart tightened. This old fox was all smiles. Had he discovered his true identity? The old Taoist said, my sect and the true martial sect have been fighting for a long time. The other resource areas in West Abyss are also more or less occupied. I want my sect's disciples to enter the cultivation world of Great Yen. They're weak, and the providence of the dynasty is also weak. It's very suitable for us to develop. After we occupy Great Yen, we can continue to march into Great Wei. Anyway, the Blood Fire Heavenly Sect has declared that they will trample Great Yen and conquer the West Abyss. You've been to the Great Yen previously and are familiar with it. You can lead a group of elite disciples there. Huang Zuantian frowned. Attack the Great Yen? Was he tired of living? After finally reviving after so many ordeals, Huang Zuantian didn't want to offend Hanju anymore. The old Taoist smiled and said, if this is done well, the position of sect master will belong to you sooner or later. Master has been in seclusion for 100 years. I don't know if he can enter the body integration realm. We can't just sit and wait for death. We have to seek opportunities. Huang Zuantian hesitated. Can we not go to Great Yen? We can go to other cultivation worlds. The world is huge and Great Yen can't bring us many benefits. The old Taoist shook his head and said, it's precisely because the Great Yen is weak that we must attack them. This matter is settled. Prepare yourself. I'll go and choose a disciple first. With that, the old Taoist stood up. Looking at his back, Huang Zuantian hesitated. Old fox. You call this negotiation? Damn it. You forced me. Looks like I have no choice but to fight for your sect master position. Huang Zuantian's eyes flashed. He had finally settled down and could cultivate in seclusion. Yet, this fellow was causing trouble for him. Although Huang Zuantian was cowardly, his life was in Han Ju's hands. He had no choice but to make a move. And so, Huang Zuantian started thinking about how to seize the sect master position. Although the old Taoist was much stronger than him, he did not panic. 1,000 years ago, after the fall of the previous leader of the Raincoat sect, Huang Zuantian was not the first choice for the position. Visit Light Novel World. Com for the best novel reading experience. The first choice was his senior. He was a radical and wanted revenge. His cultivation level was much higher than Huang Zuantian's. In order to keep the sect safe, Huang Zuantian plotted to seize his position. I can't compete head-on. I have to use some methods. Han Ju created a mystical power that caused a huge commotion in the world. Han Ju created a mystical power that caused a huge commotion in the world. The world was vast and the Great Yen was only a tiny place. Other than a Taoist surnamed Huang, no one believed that the mighty figure who had created the eternal sword Tao was hidden in the Great Yen. 13 years later, no one mentioned it again. Han Ju's cultivation level also successfully broke through to the 6th level of the Void Amalgamation realm. It was all thanks to Sun Chang'an. His presence in the cave abode increased the spirit qi, also increasing Han Ju's cultivation speed in the process. After all, this was an ancient spiritual ginseng. It was equivalent to a human-shaped treasure. It was also a natural treasure in the immortal realm. You are already 300 years old. Another 100 years have passed on the path of cultivation. You have the following choices. 1. Exit seclusion immediately and show the world how powerful you are. You can obtain an egg of a divine beast of providence. 2. Cultivate in a low-profile manner and hide your achievements. You can obtain a numinous treasure. Han Ju silently chose the second option. You chose to cultivate in a low-profile manner and obtained a numinous treasure. Congratulations on obtaining a third-grade numinous treasure, Heart-Protecting Immortal Chain, Heart-Protecting Immortal Chain, third-grade defensive numinous treasure. It can automatically absorb the heaven and earth spirit qi until it reaches full capacity. It will not affect its master's cultivation and will automatically protect its master during battle. It was a defensive numinous treasure again, and it did not use up an existing spot on his body. System, you know me best. Han Ju thought happily. He took out the heart-protecting immortal chain. It was a crystal chain, exquisite and beautiful. After a while, the heart-protecting immortal chain recognized its owner. Han Ju wore it on his neck. Sun Chang'an was secretly envious. Master has so many Dharma treasures. Could this be his inheritance? Master can only take it out and wear it after breaking through to a certain cultivation level. Han Ju was in a good mood. He ignored Sun Chang'an's gaze and checked his emails. Who had suffered the most in all these years? Your disciple Yang Tiandong was attacked by beasts, X3911, your good friend Mo Fuzhou was attacked by a righteous cultivator, X672, your disciple Su Qi was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X3028. For more, visit Light Novel World. Your good friend Zhou Fan has killed countless people. His negative karma is overwhelming. Your good friend Huang Zuantian was attacked by righteous cultivators, X105, your divine pet chaotic heavenly dog was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X4003, your disciple Su Qi was captured by the great Jin dynasty's royalty, your disciple Su Qi spread bad luck. The great Jin dynasty has encountered a 1,000-year calamity of locusts, floods, and plagues. The mountains and rivers are on the verge of collapsing. Wow! Han Ju's disciples and divine pet finally reached the top 3 on the list of being beaten with their relentless efforts. They had finally done it. Forget about Su Qi, he was a jinx. Yang Tiandong and the chaotic heavenly dog were truly worrisome. Zhou Fan was really a demon. Han Ju had a feeling. Mo Fuzhou might have been forced, but Zhou Fan was a demon by nature. After all, what he had done in the inner sect had been criticized. Han Ju shook his head and stopped thinking about it. He stood up and said, "Disciple, follow me out. I'll teach you and the Black Hell Chicken some techniques." Sun Chanin was pleasantly surprised when he heard this, and he hurriedly stood up and followed. In the endless desert, countless locusts spread out like dust. A figure moved forward in the storm of locusts. He walked unhurriedly as if he was taking a stroll. The locusts along the way did not dare to approach him. It was Su Qi. Su Qi had a proud look on his face as he thought to himself, "Master is really capable. Even the locust plague that's able to destroy a dynasty is staying away from me." After so many years, he had experienced many tribulations, but he had always been able to survive them. He tried to call Han Ju, but there was no response. He finally understood. His master was testing him. This content is taken from Light Novel World. Calm he was meant to enjoy the feeling of being alone. After all, his master was always in seclusion alone and did not say a word. Only by enduring absolute loneliness could one achieve immortality and seek the Tao. After that, Su Qi no longer called Han Ju and relaxed. Not long ago, he had been captured by the great Jin dynasty's imperial family, but he had not panicked. Instead, he enjoyed it. He fought with them, and the outcome had been as he had guessed. However, when he had truly been unable to defeat his enemies or escape death, his master had acted. Su Qi thought as he advanced. He had been traveling for decades. He looked travel-worn and tired, but his eyes were bright. Before long, Su Qi saw a 100-foot-tall crooked tree ahead. There was a figure under it. He immediately rushed over. The locust storm stopped and began to return, no longer chasing after him. Not noticing this anomaly, Su Qi hurried to the old tree. A ragged old man sat under the tree, his face as wrinkled as the bark behind him. Su Qi cupped his fists and asked, "Senior, is the North State ahead?" Without opening his eyes, the elder said, "Yes, the North State." Hearing this, Su Qi suddenly had the urge to cry. Decades. Almost 100 years. He had finally arrived at his destination. The North State. He had dreamed countless times of reaching the North State. Tears flowed down his face. He immediately turned around and knelt down. His eyes seemed to say, "Master, do you see this? I didn't let you down." The old man opened his eyes and looked at him with a strange expression. He asked, "Are you that happy to reach the North State? Do you know where it is?" Su Qi stood up and turned to him. He wiped his tears and smiled. "I don't know, but the demon-taming sect is in the North State, right?" The old man frowned and asked, "Are you related to the demon-taming sect?" "I want to join them," Su Qi said firmly and confidently, just like when he had first joined the Jade Pure sect. The old man shook his head and said, "The threshold of the demon-taming sect is extremely high. Even if you already have a golden core realm cultivation, it's not that easy to join. The North State is a place where demons dance. Junior, let me give you a piece of advice. Don't enter it, this is the yellow springs of the mortal world. Su Chi smiled. What am I afraid of? Someone is backing me. Immediately, Su Chi cupped his fists at him and walked towards the northern region with his head held high. The old man revealed a mocking smile and did not dissuade him. 5 years later, the great Yen welcomed a rare snowstorm. The entire Jade Pure sect was covered in snow, looking as beautiful as a painting. Han Ju walked out of the cave abode and stood at the edge of the cliff. All he saw was white. Having lived for 300 years, this was the first time he had encountered such heavy snow. He couldn't help but think of the jinx. This sign. Could it be that the jinx had returned? As Han Ju was thinking, 3 lines of words suddenly appeared in front of him. Detected that the 10,000-year-old demon is about to awaken. You have the following choices. 1. Come out and kill the demon to save the world. You can obtain a numinous treasure and a mystical power inheritance. 2. Continue cultivating and stay away from danger. Protect yourself and you can obtain a random natural treasure seed. 10,000-year-old demon. It sounded very savage. I'd be a fool to try and kill it. Han Ju chose the second option without hesitation. Han Ju didn't embark on the path of cultivation to save people, but to live longer. Follow current novels on Light Novel World. You chose to continue cultivating and stay away from danger. You will obtain a random natural treasure seed. Congratulations on obtaining the Fusang Tree seed. Fusang Tree, divine tree of heaven and earth. It can increase the spirit chi of heaven and earth. 10,000 years later, it can attract the golden crow. 1,000,000 years later, it can connect to other worlds. Fusang Tree. Fusang Tree. Han Ju looked at the seed that suddenly appeared in his hand and raised his eyebrows slightly. The Fusang tree was very famous in Chinese mythology. It was related to the sun. It could attract the golden crow 10,000 years later, but wasn't the golden crow the sun itself? 1,000,000 years later, it would connect to another world. Han Ju ignored this point. 1,000,000 years was too long. The Fusang tree's seed was shaped like a peach core and was not unusual. It was hard to imagine that this was the seed of a divine tree. Han Ju turned around and came to the cave abode. He called Sun Chang'an out. Master, what's the matter? Sun Chang'an asked with anticipation in his eyes. Could it be that Master wants to teach me a mystical power? Han Ju handed him the seed and said, this is a precious seed. From today onwards, plant it here and meditate in front of it every day. You have to protect it well. If it doesn't grow well, it will be your fault. Puzzled, Sun Chang'an asked, my fault? The blame will be on you. Ah! Sun Chang'an panicked. Han Ju ignored him and directly entered the cave abode to continue cultivating. Sun Chang'an squatted down and looked nervously at the Fusang tree seed. He dug away the surrounding snow to prevent the seed from being cold. This was the first time Han Ju assigned him a mission. He was very nervous. The most important thing was this seed. If it died, there would be no second chance. The vast world was covered in snow. In the mountains, countless demons crawled in the forest. They wore snow robes and looked like ice sculptures. Yang Tiandong stood under the tree and waited. His body was also covered in snow. Updated from Light Novel World. He was dressed in black and had a demonic appearance. His hair was mostly white and his pupils were blood red. He was obviously a demon. His gaze was fixed on a mountain peak ahead. This mountain peak was like a sword that pointed to the sky. It was taller and straighter than the surrounding mountains. The snow fell on the mountain and melted, and one could vaguely see wisps of demonic aura coiling around the peak. The wind and snow swirled around the mountain like a white tornado. It was a spectacular sight. Yang Tiandong looked at an old tree demon beside him and asked, how much longer? Old Tree Demon shook the unawakened beasts on his body and said, "Perhaps soon. This is the strongest Demon King of Great Yen since ancient times, Demon King Dian Su. Once he's born, we will follow him and usher in a prosperous era for the demon race." Yang Tiandong frowned. If he's really that powerful, why did he sleep for 2,000 years? Yang Tiandong curled his lips and asked. He was ambitious. He wanted to be the most powerful demon king in the Great Yen. He had finally started, but a 10,000-year-old demon was about to revive. All the demon kings of the Great Yen came to pay their respects. Yang Tiandong had no choice but to follow suit. More than 2,000 years ago, there was still no Great Yen. This place was uninhabited and was a paradise for us demons. Demon King Dian Su was the only demon king in this land. All the demons listened to him until one time, when a human cultivator accidentally entered this land, Demon King Dian Su saw that he was injured and saved him. However, that person repaid kindness with ingratitude and attracted countless cultivators to attack us. A war that lasted for decades erupted. Demon King Dian Su was sealed here. We demons either died or fled. Less than 1 in 10 remained. Old Tree Demon began to speak of the past, his tone filled with hatred. We have been waiting for Demon King Dian Su to awaken and make a comeback. The powerful cultivators from back then are already far away. The current Great Yen can't stop Demon King Dian Su. With that said, Old Tree Demon revealed a fanatical expression. Yang Tiandong frowned and asked, "Aren't those cultivators worried that Demon King Dian Su will revive?" Old Tree Demon mocked, "The human heart is uglier than the demon heart. After 2,000 years, they are no longer united against a common enemy. They might have already killed each other. Few are still alive." Yang Tiandong was speechless. He thought of his master and the Jade Pure sect and asked, "When Demon King Dian Su is resurrected, will he definitely slaughter the entire human race of the Great Yen?" "Of course." Old Tree Demon acknowledged. Yang Tiandong's eyes flickered. The snowstorm of the Great Yen lasted for 2 years, causing countless people to die. The dynasty had no choice but to seek help from the cultivation world. With the help of the cultivators, the disaster was alleviated. One day, a towering demonic aura erupted, causing the sky to change color and making the cultivation world uneasy. Follow current novels on Light Novel World. Calmly Qingzi even came to look for him. Han Ju didn't hide anything and said that a 10,000-year-old demon had appeared. It frightened Li Qingzi so much that he immediately went back and asked the entire sect to be on guard. However, the mysterious 10,000-year-old demon did not come. In the blink of an eye, another 5 years passed. Han Ju was still a little short of the 7th level of the Void Amalgamation Realm. Regarding the fact that the 10,000-year-old demon didn't engulf the Great Yen, Han Ju guessed that the demon had just woken up and his cultivation hadn't fully recovered. The snow covering Great Yen had also melted. Peace returned. Han Ju stopped cultivating and walked out of the cave abode. After 7 years, the Fusang tree had grown into a sapling. Sun Chang'an was very careful when taking care of the Fusang tree, afraid that it would not grow well. Seeing Han Ju come out, he hurriedly got up. "Master." Sun Chang'an bowed respectfully. Han Ju nodded and looked at the Fusang tree. The Fusang tree looked like 2 intertwined mulberry trees. It looked very enchanting. Currently, the Fusang tree had already begun to produce heaven and earth spirit qi. Although it was very weak, it was a good sign. The difference between a divine tree and ordinary treasures was that it had a long cultivation period. Han Ju wasn't in a hurry. He just needed the Fusang tree to grow smoothly. The black hell chicken raised a chaotic heavenly dog. While the ancient spiritual ginseng nurtured a Fusang tree. Yeah. Good match. Han Ju thought proudly. After observing the Fusang tree, Han Ju started to stretch his body. He had been meditating for too long, so it was good to exercise occasionally. Sun Chang'an observed carefully. Visit Light Novel World. Calm for a better experience. He discovered that although Han Ju's actions looked simple, they contained some profound meaning. He didn't understand, but it was impressive. Han Ju's actions were common in his previous life, but it was very novel in this world. As he stretched his waist and raised his leg, Han Ju began to test the strongest person in the Jade Pure sect besides him. He was afraid that the 10,000-year-old demon would infiltrate the sect. Taoist Calm Sky, 9th level of the Void Amalgamation Realm, Elder of the Blood Fire Heavenly Sect, Blood Fire Heavenly Sect. Isn't this the sect that unified the cultivation world of Great Way? Han Ju still remembered that Li Qingzi said that the Blood Fire Heavenly Sect had threatened to conquer the Great Yen. He didn't expect them to send people over so quickly. Han Ju started to test the location of Taoist Calm Sky. He was disguised as an inner sect disciple and was wandering around the Pet Beast Pavilion. He probably wanted to infiltrate the 10,000 demon realm. Han Ju hesitated about how to kill this person. If he were to make a move, he would probably hurt the innocent. In the Pet Beast Pavilion. Disguised as a young male disciple, Taoist Calm Sky held a book that recorded the species of demon beasts in the 10,000 demon realm. This is the #1 sect of Great Yen. How weak. Taoist Calm Sky thought disdainfully. He had infiltrated the Jade Pure sect for some time and discovered that the sect's foundation in all aspects was far inferior to the Blood Fire Heavenly sect. Next, only the mysterious deity-slaying elder remained. Taoist Calm Sky put down the book and walked out of the Pet Beast Pavilion. The location of the deity-slaying elder was very easy to determine. The Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal Mountain was already the place with the richest spirit chi in the entire sect. The disciples could guess that it was where the deity-slaying elder was in seclusion. Taoist Calm Sky had already asked around. Great Yan's strongest cultivator. I wonder how pitiful you will look when you kneel before me and beg for mercy. Taoist Calm Sky thought to himself. He was at the 9th level of the Void Amalgamation Realm. Even the Jade Pure sect's founder wouldn't be a match for him. Updated from Light Novel World. Calm after killing the deity-slaying elder, should he wipe out the Jade Pure sect without anyone noticing? The Blood Fire Heavenly Sect did not send Taoist Calm Sky to Great Yen. He had been seeking immortality outside and had obtained secret letters from the sect. He knew about the sect's plans and happened to pass by the Jade Pure sect on his way back. The Blood Fire Heavenly Sect did not send Taoist Calm Sky to Great Yen. He had been seeking immortality outside and had obtained secret letters from the sect. He knew about the sect's plans and happened to pass by the Jade Pure sect on his way back. He thought that if he could take down the strongest sect in Great Yen along the way, the Blood Fire Heavenly Sect would be able to attack the Great Yen cultivation world with ease. Before infiltrating the Jade Pure sect, Taoist Calm Sky had not taken the sect seriously. He had only hidden for a period of time in order to be cautious. In the cultivation world, carelessness was always the fatal flaw of cultivators. After ascertaining the Jade Pure sect's background, Taoist Calm Sky relaxed. He felt that such a sect wouldn't have an expert at his level. Why was Taoist 9 Cauldrons unwilling to stay in the Jade Pure sect? Because if he stayed in the sect, his cultivation would not improve. As Taoist Calm Sky thought, he flew towards the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal Mountain. He suddenly felt uneasy as he gazed at the peak of the sky filled with spirit chi. Taoist Calm Sky immediately stopped in the air and frowned. What's happening? He thought nervously. Having been in the cultivation world for so many years, he trusted his instincts. This was a form of instinct that had been tempered through countless trials. The Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal Mountain actually made him feel danger. Could it be that the deity-slaying elder of the Jade Pure sect was really not simple? But logically speaking, no matter how strong he was, he wouldn't be that strong. Could it be that he couldn't be assessed with common sense? Taoist Calm Sky thought for a moment and flicked his right hand. A soul fragment shot out. This way, even if he died, he could be reborn. Taoist Calm Sky adjusted his state of mind and continued rushing to the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain. The closer he got to the immortal mountain, the more uneasy and curious he became. What kind of monster was the Jade Pure Sex deity slaying elder? At the same time, on the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain, Han Ju stood by the cliff and waited quietly. He could feel Taoist Calm Sky's aura approaching and couldn't help but be amused. The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. He had been worrying about how to deal with this person, but to think that this person would come knocking on his door. A cool breeze blew past Han Ju's golden cicada's mystic divine robe. The Earth Emperor's soul ward on his Frost Lord's glazed crown fluttered in the wind. He was like a god from the heavens and had a peerless temperament. Taoist Calm Sky saw him from afar. What a handsome man! He's only at the 9th level of the Foundation Establishment realm. Could he be the disciple of the deity-slaying elder? Taoist Calm Sky thought to himself. Han Ju's cultivation level was hidden by the system. Even the Void Amalgamation Realm cultivator couldn't see through him. Taoist Calm Sky flew to the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain. He formed a seal with his right hand and slapped forward. A crack appeared in the mountain protecting array formation. Without a sound, he entered. Taoist Calm Sky landed beside Han Ju and asked with a smile, "Is deity-slaying elder here? Such a good-looking person. Should I take him away now and use him when I need to undergo possession?" Taoist Calm Sky thought to himself. Taoist Calm Sky has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 2 stars. Looking at the notification, Han Ju was speechless. Is this another guy who is easily entranced by good looks? Han Ju flicked his right hand and took out the primordial judgment sword. Upon seeing the sword, Taoist Calm Sky's pupils constricted. This sword. Wait. His entire body seems to be covered in numinous treasures. Is he the deity-slaying elder? Taoist Calm Sky was shocked. Han Ju slashed at him the moment he held the sword. A black sword aura swept across the sky like a black crescent moon. It was extremely spectacular. Boom! Taoist Calm Sky was sent flying by the sword chi of the heavenly punishment ghost deity sword. Blood splattered all over his body as he vomited blood. What domineering sword chi! Taoist Calm Sky shuddered. I knew it. Visit Light Novel World. Calm for a better experience. His instincts were right. Before Taoist Calm Sky could stabilize himself, he saw countless sword shadows appear in all directions and attack him. 3 Pure World Cleansing. Thousands of sword shadows covered the sky. It was as if Taoist Calm Sky was surrounded by thousands of swords and had nowhere to run. In an instant, Taoist Calm Sky took out a numinous treasure. It was a small green pagoda that rapidly expanded and covered his body. Thousands of sword shadows collided with him, crushing his body in the green pagoda into dust. Spirit energy exploded and bright lights burst forth. They were of all colors and shook the sky. Han Ju stood at the edge of the cliff and looked at the dazzling fireworks in the sky. What a beautiful scenery. As expected of a 9th-level Void Amalgamation Realm cultivator, he actually forced Han Ju to use 2 moves. Han Ju was certain that Taoist Calm Sky's body and essence soul were already destroyed. What a pity. Taoist Calm Sky's storage ring was also destroyed. Being too strong was not necessarily a good thing. Han Ju sighed. At the entrance of the cave abode, sitting by the Fusang tree, Sun Chang'an was stunned. This was the first time he saw Han Ju make a move. The power of 3 Pure World Cleansing shocked his eyes. What a domineering mystical power. The trees in the distance were still shaking from the wind, a testament to the terror of this ability. Halfway up the mountain, the Black Hell Chicken also witnessed this scene and couldn't help but gulp. The rumbling here was very loud, attracting the inner sect elders. Li Qingzi came to Han Ju first and asked nervously, "What happened?" Han Ju said calmly, "Taoist Calm Sky of the Blood Fire Heavenly Sect came here." "What? Taoist Calm Sky? Where?" Li Qingzi trembled in fear. Han Ju replied, "He's dead. The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World." Calm Li Qingzi was stunned when he heard that. He immediately revealed a shocked expression and carefully asked, "Elder Han, you're already at the body integration realm?" Han Ju shook his head and said, "How can that be? I'm far from it. Don't spread the news about what happened today to avoid unnecessary trouble. It's just nice to let the Blood Fire Heavenly Sect suffer in silence." Li Qingzi nodded and hurriedly went to evacuate the elders. After leaving the immortal Cultivation Mountain, he recalled Han Ju's words and attitude and couldn't help but shiver. Taoist Calm Sky. He's the #1 figure of the Blood Fire Heavenly Sect. Li Qingzi muttered to himself as if he was dreaming. Han Ju returned to the cave abode, ignoring Sun Chang'an's admiring gaze. He noticed that the icon of Taoist Calm Sky had not disappeared. What's happening? He's not dead. He had clearly crushed his soul and body just now. Was there something wrong? Could it be that he has a clone or something? Han Ju couldn't figure it out, so he took out the Book of Misfortune and started to curse Taoist Calm Sky. 3 years later, Taoist Calm Sky's soul fragment finally escaped back to the Blood Fire Heavenly Sect. The person who received him was the sect master, Lu Bumi. Lu Bumi wore a black robe and had a cold expression. He exuded an imposing aura and his gaze was oppressive. In the hall, Lu Bumi sat in the head seat and frowned. "Senior brother, why are you in such a sorry state?" Taoist Calm Sky's soul fragment trembled. After being defeated by Han Ju, he encountered various kinds of heavenly tribulations while escaping. He was extremely unlucky. Fortunately, he was tough and managed to survive. "Junior brother, are you going to attack Great Yen?" Taoist Calm Sky gritted his teeth and asked. When he thought of Han Ju's unparalleled face, his soul trembled uncontrollably. Lu Bumi replied, "That's right. We will take action in 5 years at most. I'm ready. At that time, the guest we invited will also take action. Don't go to Great Yen. The Great Yen can't be touched. The Jade Pure sect is hiding a terrifying mighty figure. You should know my strength. My cultivation level is at the 9th level of the Void Amalgamation realm, but I couldn't even block a single strike from that person. I was killed before I could even attack." Taoist Calm Sky was extremely agitated and terrified. Follow new episodes on the Light Novel World. Calm Platform. If we go to the Great Yen, we'll definitely die. Even if our body integration realm guest elder attacks, we won't be his match. Really? Lu Bumi's eyes widened in shock. Really? Lu Bumi's eyes widened in shock. There was such a person in Great Yen? Taoist Calm Sky gritted his teeth and said, "Look at me, isn't this enough proof?" Lu Bumi was silent. Before inviting a body integration realm guest, Taoist Calm Sky was the strongest expert of the Blood Fire Heavenly Sect. Lu Bumi was able to become the sect master thanks to his help. He had originally thought that the Blood Fire Heavenly Sect's golden age was about to arrive. Unexpectedly, Taoist Calm Sky suffered a setback in the Jade Pure sect. Lu Bumi gritted his teeth and asked, "Who is that?" Taoist Calm Sky sighed and said, "The deity-slaying elder. If you send someone to investigate, you might be able to find out about his reputation. This person is very low profile, but the Jade Pure sect was able to become the #1 sect in Great Yen. He's the main reason." Lu Bumi frowned. He couldn't understand how such an expert was willing to stay in the Great Yen. Forget it. We won't provoke the Great Yen. Let's start from the West Abyss State. Lu Bumi sighed. Taoist Calm Sky nodded. Han Ju's face appeared in his mind again. I can't provoke him no matter what. In the 4th year after killing Taoist Calm Sky, Han Ju finally broke through to the 7th level of the Void Amalgamation realm. After breaking through, he clicked on interpersonal relationships. Taoist Calm Sky was still alive. Han Ju was depressed. This was the first time he felt so depressed. He had clearly killed him, so why was he still alive? Taoist Calm Sky, 9th level of the Void Amalgamation realm. An elder of the Blood Fire Heavenly Sect, he is filled with fear because of you. He doesn't dare to face you alone anymore. Current favorability, 2 stars. The only thing that comforted Han Ju was that Taoist Calm Sky was frightened by him. Favorability did not just mean good feelings. Visit Light Novel World. Com for the best novel reading experience. Han Ju guessed that this favorability was based on Taoist Calm Sky's impression of his looks. Because he was extremely afraid and didn't dare to hate him, he kept this favorability. Taoist Calm Sky reminded Han Ju of something. Perhaps he could crush his enemies, but he might not necessarily kill them every time. In the cultivation world, there were many capable people. As the enemies got stronger, they would have many ways to protect their lives. He had to be careful when killing enemies in the future. It would be best to ambush and catch them off guard. Han Ju carefully recalled the fight. He felt that the problem could be caused by him attacking twice. Yeah. That was definitely the case. He had to kill the enemy instantly. He couldn't give the enemy any breathing space. I was too careless. He couldn't let his guard down in the future. Being careless was a fatal flaw. After finding out the problem, Han Ju's gaze became firm. The next time he attacked, he would use his full strength without hesitation. Then, Han Ju closed his eyes and continued cultivating. The northern part of Great Yen was covered in snow and ice. In the vast snow stood a terrifying figure 1,000 feet tall. It looked up at the sky and breathed out. 4 huge tails twisted around wantonly, stirring up strong winds. Yang Tiandong and dozens of demon kings gathered together and knelt down to the terrifying figure. This terrifying figure was the 10,000-year-old demon, Demon King Dian Su. Yang Tiandong looked up at him. He couldn't help but break out in cold sweat even in such a cold place. Demon King Dian Su's terrifying demonic aura wreaked havoc in the world, causing all the demon kings present to shiver. Besides cultivation, there was also bloodline suppression. Visit Light Novel World. Calm for a better experience. Before the revival of Demon King Dian Su, Yang Tiandong had always doubted him. He was indignant and felt that he should be the first Demon King of Great Yen. But when he faced Demon King Dian Su, he realized how ridiculous he was. Beside his was still Old Tree Demon, who had explained the origins of Demon King Dian Su. The Old Tree Demon asked respectfully, "Demon King, why did you call us here?" The other Demon Kings were also very nervous. They were worried that Demon King Dian Su would find trouble with them. A deep and powerful voice sounded as if panting. "From now on, in this land, only I can be king. All the demon kings are my demon generals." With that said, all the demon kings were alarmed. I knew it. They were indignant but did not dare to say anything, including Yang Tiandong. Old Tree Demon immediately flattered, "Of course. Demon King, when are we going to massacre the Great Yen humans?" Yang Tiandong cursed silently. He was really a good dog. He even seriously doubted if what the Old Tree Demon King had said about Demon King Dian Su was true. Perhaps Old Tree Demon had deliberately beautified Demon King Dian Su to worsen the image of the human race. Kneeling close to Demon King Dian Su, Yang Tiandong felt unprecedented killing intent. This demon king had killed countless beings, far beyond Yang Tiandong's imagination. Massacre the human race? When did I say that I wanted to massacre the human race? Demon King Dian Su retorted. His tone was cold, causing Old Tree Demon to shiver. Yang Tiandong clearly felt a terrifying divine sense sweep over them. Oh. Half human, half demon. Interesting. Little demon, come here. Yang Tiandong tensed up at Demon King Dian Su's words. He carefully raised his head and saw that the terrifying figure of Demon King Dian Su had already vanished, leaving only a faintly discernible figure in the snow. All the demon kings looked at him. Yang Tiandong gritted his teeth, suppressed his nervousness, stood up, and walked towards Demon King Dian Su. The sky was filled with snow, and the road ahead was vast. Yang Tiandong seemed to be heading towards the abyss, while Demon King Dian Su was the Abyss Lord. Ever since he knew that Han Ju had killed Daoist Calm Sky, the pressure on Li Qingzi had disappeared. As he had expected, the Blood-Fire Heavenly Sect no longer dared to attack the Great Yen. There was no movement from the 10,000-year-old Demon King Dian Su, and the Great Yen cultivation world was very calm. Han Ju was still cultivating in seclusion. Time passed, and the mortal world surged. The great figures underwent tribulation, and the mortals underwent reincarnation. In the long river of history, this period of time was not much different from the past. 7 years later, Li Qingzi came to find Han Ju and interrupted his cultivation. Something big was about to happen. The 10,000-year-old demon was attacking. Or was the Blood-Fire Heavenly Sect attacking? Li Qingzi entered the cave abode and said with a worried expression, "Elder Han, it's not good." Han Ju's heart skipped a beat as he waited for Li Qingzi to continue. Previously, when the 19 sects attacked the sect, wasn't the leader a great cultivator named Wei Yuan? He was killed by you, but he didn't die. When he returned to the 9 Dragons sect in the West Abyss state, guess what? This person actually became the new sect master. He previously suffered a setback here and might lead the entire 9 Dragons sect to attack us. Li Qingzi said worriedly, while Han Ju had a strange expression. What the heck? Huang Zuantian became the sect master. Han Ju immediately checked his interpersonal relationships. Huang Zuantian, first level of the Void Amalgamation Realm, pseudo, 9 Dragons sect master. He is cautious by nature and will do anything to survive. Current favorability, 5 stars, Han Ju didn't know what to say. Before Huang Zuantian left, he asked if Han Ju wanted him to fight for the sect master position. At that time, Han Ju didn't take it to heart and casually replied. He didn't expect Huang Zuantian to really succeed. This fellow had something up his sleeves when it came to power struggles. Han Ju asked in surprise, the 9 Dragons sect is so weak. Even Wei Yuan can become the sect master. How weak was the 9 Dragons sect to have a sect master at the first level of the Void Amalgamation Realm? Li Qingzi shook his head. I'm not sure about that. It said that the entire West Abyss state is in chaos because of the 9 Dragons sect master. Sect master, don't worry. The 9 Dragons sect won't come looking for trouble with us. Wei Yuan and I turned hostility into friendship. We promised each other that we wouldn't seek revenge from each other's sections. Han Ju comforted. Sect master, don't worry. The 9 Dragons sect won't come looking for trouble with us. Wei Yuan and I turned hostility into friendship. We promised each other that we wouldn't seek revenge from each other's sections. Han Ju comforted. He found Li Qingzi's worried expression especially funny. This sect master was obviously here to test his confidence, wanting to know if he dared to go against the 9 Dragons sect. Li Qingzi asked in surprise, really? Han Ju nodded. Great. Elder Han, you're indeed the deity-slaying elder of the Jade Pure sect. You've paved so many paths for the sect that I want to give you the position of sect master. No, I don't want to be beaten up. Beaten up? Cough cough, it's nothing. I'm not interested in the position of sect master. Fine. The two of them didn't chat for long. After receiving the good news, Li Qingzi left and didn't want to disturb Han Ju's cultivation. After walking out of the Khanate cave abode, Li Qingzi couldn't help but look at the Fusang tree. The tree grew taller again. It was rare to see two trees intertwined like this. Sun Chang'an cupped his fists at him. Li Qingzi was secretly surprised. What kind of tree was this? It was definitely not simple if it was planted at the entrance of Han Ju's cave abode. Li Qingzi couldn't figure it out and didn't think too much about it. At the same time, Han Ju opened the emails. It had been many years since he had read them. He wondered how his friends and disciples were doing. Your good friend Huang Jihao was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X-142. Your good friend Huang Jihao gained an epiphany during his cultivation and comprehended a mystical power. Your disciple Su Qi was attacked by a fellow disciple, X-31. Your disciple Su Qi spread bad luck. The luck of the demon-taming sect has decreased. Your Dao companion Xian Qingjun comprehended the true meaning of life and death and her cultivation improved greatly. Your divine pet chaotic heavenly dog was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X6287, your good friend Mo Fuzhou had a fortuitous encounter and obtained a demon sword. Updated from Light Novel World. Calm. Those who were beaten were still being beaten. Some also obtained fortuitous encounters. Han Ju noticed that Su Qi had already joined the demon-taming sect. Wow! This kid is not bad. Han Ju immediately took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing Xiaoyi. He continued reading the emails while cursing. All the icons he had paid special attention to were still there. He was glad that no one was dead. The unhappy thing was that his enemies' icons were also still there. I still have to cultivate hard. As the Jade Pure sect grows stronger, I feel that the Void Amalgamation realm is insufficient. I have to reach the Body Integration realm as soon as possible. Han Ju thought silently. After cursing Xiaoyi for an hour, Han Ju continued cultivating. 2 years later. Yang Tiandong finally returned. Han Ju waved his hand and opened the protective array of the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain. After the array was opened, Yang Tiandong immediately went up the mountain. The Black Hell Chicken, who was cultivating, saw the black-robed Yang Tiandong and teased, "Did you abandon humanity and become a demon?" Yang Tiandong nodded at it and continued up the mountain. The Black Hell Chicken pouted and snorted. He actually ignored me. Is his Golden Core realm cultivation very strong? Can he withstand my claw? When he arrived at the Khanate cave abode, Yang Tiandong knelt at the entrance. At the side, under the Fusang tree, Sun Chang'an looked curiously at him. Was this demon his senior brother? Han Ju had told him before that he had 2 senior brothers. Eldest senior brother was half human and half demon. That description was very similar to Yang Tiandong. You still remember us? Han Ju's voice came from the cave. His tone was indifferent. He said that he would cultivate with Han Ju until the end of time, but he ran away first. Why didn't he come home? Yang Tiandong smiled bitterly. Master, I was abducted by the Demon King previously. I had no choice but to do so. After that, I experienced many things. Now that I'm the Demon King, I have many demons under me. I can't leave them. Hee hee. Visit Light Novel World. Com for the best novel reading experience. Han Ju laughed, and Yang Tiandong felt guiltier. He quickly changed the topic. Master, I have something to tell you. The strongest demon in the history of Great Yen, Demon King Dian Su, has been resurrected. He has a huge plot. He wants to raise the Great Yen humans as food for the demon race. He has already mobilized the demon horde to the Great Yen border and will attack the various strongholds. When the human race has nowhere to run, he will bare his fangs. Demon King Jiansu. Han Ju hesitated for a moment and asked, "How strong is this demon?" Yang Tiandong replied, "I'm not sure either. But he's unbelievably strong. I can't resist him at all. I came back this time to remind Master to be prepared and run when necessary." He had followed Han Ju for some time and knew his personality. Facing the 10,000-year-old Demon King Jiansu, Han Ju would definitely retreat and stay away from danger. "What's your relationship with Demon King Jiansu? How do you know his plot?" "To be honest, Demon King Jiansu took me in as his adopted son. I can't reject him. If I do, I might die." Han Ju almost cursed. "Brat." Han Ju's hatred towards Demon King Jiansu instantly reached 5 stars. This was basically stealing his son. A disciple was considered a son, too. The hatred of snatching his son was irreconcilable. Han Ju suddenly came up with a plan and said, "Go back immediately and introduce me to Demon King Jiansu. You can say my name and say that I admire him. Anyway, you can help me put in a good word and let him have a good impression of me." Yang Tiandong was puzzled. What was Master doing? "Go." "Oh." Yang Tiandong quickly left. Han Ju took a deep breath and continued cultivating. If Demon King Jiansu was at the Tribulation Transcendence realm, then it would be best for him to escape with the Jade Pure sect. His life was more important. 3 months later. A line of words appeared in front of Han Ju, who was cultivating. Updated from Light Novel World. Demon King Jiansu has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 1 star. Han Ju immediately perked up and carefully opened his interpersonal relationships. He suddenly felt as if he was opening a loot box. "O great 3 pure ones, I pray that the Demon King Jiansu is not above the body integration realm." Demon King Jiansu, 4th level of the body integration realm, 10,000-year-old demon. Has deep hatred towards human cultivators, and has a treacherous nature. Current favorability, 1 star. 4th level of the body integration realm. Han Ju secretly heaved a sigh of relief. It shouldn't be difficult for him, who was at the 7th level of the void amalgamation realm, to fight someone at the 4th level of the body integration realm, right? He was covered in numinous treasures and had a birth dharma treasure. He had comprehended an eternal sword Tao mystical power. He could fight a realm higher, right? What a pity. Jiansu didn't come to the Jade Pure sect. Han Ju couldn't detect him and perform the simulation trial. No matter what, Demon King Jiansu was not powerful enough to make Han Ju want to run away. Continue cultivating. Who knew how many years it would be before Demon King Jiansu arrived at the Jade Pure sect? I'll enter seclusion first and break through to the body integration realm as soon as possible. After making up his mind, Han Ju took out the Book of Misfortune and cursed Demon King Jiansu. It would be best if he could curse Jiansu until he entered Qi deviation. The Book of Misfortune needed to consume spirit energy. Han Ju had never used his full strength to curse someone. He had only used some spirit energy to curse in the past. Today, he wanted to see the effect of using all his spirit energy to curse Demon King Jiansu. The Book of Misfortune emitted a strange black aura that shone on Han Ju's face. He was like an evil Taoist in the netherworld. 10 hours later. Han Ju started bleeding from his 7 orifices. Warning, overuse of the Book of Misfortune will result in a backlash. Han Ju saw a line of words in front of him and stopped in shock. He wiped the blood from his face. He had been so focused that he had not noticed that he was bleeding. It seemed that he couldn't use the Book of Misfortune too much. This content is taken from Light Novel World. Fortunately, his body and soul were not severely injured. He could recover after resting for a few days. I wonder how that demon is doing now. Hanju thought expectantly. Northern Great Yen, in a world of ice and snow. Northern Great Yen, in a world of ice and snow. In a cave, the ice formed cones all over the place. It was terrifying. At the end of the tunnel, a white-haired man sat on an ice bed. He wore a robe made of beast fur. His face was demonic, and there were 4 tails that looked like black fur on his back. He was Demon King Jian Su in his human form. Boom, the Demon King suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. It splattered on the ice on the ground, burning until it melted the ice and mist rose. There were many pits in front of the ice bed. They were all the blood he had spat out. He kept vomiting blood. Jian Su was furious and terrified. What's going on? 5 hours ago, he had started vomiting blood, all the way until now. Now, he was actually spitting out blood essence. How could that be? What frightened him the most was that he could not cultivate. Once he absorbed qi, the demonic power in his body would decrease instead of increase. Why is this happening? Jian Su was uneasy. In his 10,000 years of life, this was the first time he had encountered such a situation. He suddenly recalled some ancient legends. Could it be that one of those cultivators had ascended and was currently watching him from the higher realms? He had just announced 2 years ago that he would raise the humans as livestock when such a terrible thing happened to him. As he thought, a mouthful of blood surged up his throat. Demon King Jian Su couldn't help but vomit another mouthful of blood. He was going crazy. At this rate, he would vomit to death. In the years that he had just revived, he had been cultivating and trying to recover his cultivation. However, in just a few hours, his cultivation had regressed and his injuries had worsened. He was in a worse state than when he had just awakened. Jian Su thought that he must have offended the immortals in the sky. He couldn't be suffering for no reason. There was no mistake in his cultivation. As for the inner demon, it had been removed by him 300 years ago. Now, it seemed that a new inner demon was about to appear. Time continued to pass amidst his panic and despair. Another 2 hours passed. Jian Su finally stopped vomiting blood. He could cultivate again, but this experience had become his nightmare. There was definitely someone watching him somewhere. Visit Light Novel World. Calm for a better experience. Cultivate diligently, become Immortal Mountain. Your good friend Demon King Jian Su is cursed. He is severely injured and his cultivation has decreased. When Hanju saw this email, he couldn't help but smile. He was very happy. He had just finished cursing him the day before and now he saw the email. The effect of using the Book of Misfortune at full force was domineering. Hanju was relieved now. He decided to curse Demon King Jian Su once every 3 years, and cause him to be severely injured each time. Hanju continued to cultivate. His target was the 8th level of the Void Amalgamation Realm. As the Fusang tree continued to grow, the nearest Khanate cave abode benefited the most. The spirit qi began to increase. Spring passed and autumn came. In the blink of an eye, 10 years passed like the passing of a white horse. Hanju finally broke through to the 8th level of the Void Amalgamation Realm. After consolidating his cultivation, Hanju walked out of the cave abode. He first checked the Fusang tree's health, then found the Black Hell Chicken and taught it a spell. The Black Hell Chicken was transforming continuously towards the Black Hell Phoenix. Its cultivation level was also increasing continuously. It was now comparable to a nascent soul realm cultivator. The cultivation realm of demons was different from that of humans, but mainly because of the difference in the nascent soul realm. The cultivation realms after were still the same. Demons did not have a nascent soul, but they could cultivate their demon cores and essence soul. Han Ju did not wish for the chaotic heavenly dog to come back and beat up the black hell chicken after wandering outside for so long. If that happened, its Tao heart would be damaged. Cultivation is not as good as fighting for opportunities. Impossible. That was only for mortals. After teaching the black hell chicken, Han Ju found Xing Hongxian at the back of the mountain. Xing Hongxian was in seclusion and didn't go out to have fun. Han Ju decided to teach her some spells and increase her life preservation means. Xing Hongxian was pleasantly surprised when she heard this. The gentleness in her eyes almost overflowed. After teaching for more than 10 days, Han Ju was about to return to his cave abode when he suddenly caught two auras approaching the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain. One of them was Huang Jihao. Through his interpersonal relationships, Han Ju learned that Huang Jihao had changed his allegiance to the true martial sect of the West Abyss State. The source of this content is Light Novel World. The other person had a high cultivation level and was probably an expert from the true martial sect. Han Ju immediately tested the strongest person around the Jade Pure sect. Shengguan Qiujian, 9th level of the Void Amalgamation Realm, Sword Elder of the True Martial Sect, 9th level of the Void Amalgamation Realm. Han Ju closed his eyes and started the simulation trial. A few seconds later, he found a way to kill Shengguan Qiujian. He immediately vanished. At the same time, Huang Jihao brought a blue-robed man to the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain. They were less than 3 kilometers away. Looking at the majestic immortal mountain in the distance, Shengguan Qiujian smiled and said, "Is there really a sword expert here? I don't sense any particularly strong sword intent." Huang Jihao was about to speak when he saw Han Ju flying over slowly. He hurriedly bowed and cupped his fists and said in a trembling voice, "Huang Jihao greets Senior." "Senior?" Shengguan Qiujian frowned. This person did not look strong, only handsome. Wait. Like Wei Yuan and Taoist Calm Sky, Shengguan Qiujian quickly sensed that something was amiss. This fellow was covered in numinous treasures. Even the Sword Elder of the True Martial Sect had never seen such a luxurious cultivator. Han Ju flew in front of Huang Jihao and asked, "Why have you come to the Jade Pure sect?" As long as Huang Jihao said something unfavorable to the Jade Pure sect, Han Ju would immediately go all out. He would absolutely not waste time on chatter. "I can't let a blemish like Taoist Calm Sky appear again." Huang Jihao respectfully said, "Senior, we're here to spar with you. The person behind me is the #1 sword cultivator of the true martial sect in the West Abyss State. He wants to spar with you. Don't worry, it's just a friendly spar. It won't affect the Jade Pure sect or its relationship with the true martial sect. We'll stop before any harm is caused." Spar. Han Ju looked at Shengguan Qiujian with a strange expression. How dare he? Shengguan Qiujian thought that he was frightened by his reputation and chuckled. "Don't worry, fellow Taoist. I won't harm your life or cultivation." Han Ju sighed and said, "I'm very afraid of trouble. The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World." Calm Shengguan Qiujian frowned. "Is this guy scared? How about this, I'll attack once. If you can take it, it'll be my loss." Han Ju waved his hand. Huang Jihao's eyelids twitched. He couldn't help but recall his nightmare. Shengguan Qiujian said, "All right." He could already tell that although Han Ju had many numinous treasures, he was obviously shameful about it. In that case, it was better to end it earlier. Just as he finished speaking, Han Ju suddenly took out the primordial judgment sword and slashed at Shengguan Qiujian. Han Ju appeared in front of the other party as if he had teleported and immediately used the heavenly punishment ghost deity sword. The six-path spirit energy at the 8th level of the void amalgamation realm erupted like a flood. All of it poured into the primordial judgment sword, and black sword chi swept through the sky, seemingly causing time to stop. Shengguan Qiujian's eyes widened. His hand touched the sword at his waist. Oh no. Too fast. It's too late. The terrifying sword chi sealed Shengguan Qiujian, making him feel like he had fallen into the netherworld. His soul trembled. How many years had it been? Shengguan Qiujian actually smelled death again. Most importantly, he didn't even have a chance to resist. Boom! The forest behind him was swept up by the sword chi like a violent storm. Shengguan Qiujian thought that he was dead, but in fact, he was not. The primordial judgment sword hung over his forehead. Shengguan Qiujian could see his face filled with despair through the reflection of the sword, and beads of cold sweat quickly formed on his forehead. Han Ju held his sword with one hand as his golden robe fluttered. The Earth Emperor's soul ward on his Frost Lord's glazed crown swayed like flames. His cold expression made Shengguan Qiujian think of a sword immortal who had reached the apex of the sword Dao. You can't seem to take it, Han Ju said softly. Thump. Shengguan Qiujian's legs went soft. Feeling the immense pressure from escaping death, his legs were unable to take it and he knelt on the ground. This cultivator at the 9th level of the Void Amalgamation Realm collapsed to the ground in fear of Han Ju's sword. Beside him, Huang Jihao did not reveal any shock. Instead, he smiled bitterly. The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. Calm. Looking at Shengguan Qiujian kneeling in front of him, Han Ju suddenly felt some pity. Looking at Shengguan Qiujian kneeling in front of him, Han Ju suddenly felt some pity. Perhaps the other party really only wanted to spar. Did I crush his Dao heart by unleashing a devastating blow just now? Han Ju said, go back. Don't mention this to anyone. I won't tell anyone, either. With that, he turned around and prepared to leave. Shengguan Qiujian hurriedly stood up and gritted his teeth. Fellow. Senior, who are you? May I ask for your real name? Reincarnation. With that said, Han Ju left. Stunned, Shengguan Qiujian repeated the word reincarnation. Huang Jihao consoled him, back then, I was in a worse state than you. You should be fine. You're not injured. Shengguan Qiujian smiled bitterly. I didn't expect the Great Yen to have such a powerful being. No wonder the weakest Great Yen has always been calm and no one dares to invade. He finally believed Huang Jihao. The mighty figure who had comprehended the eternal sword Dao had come from the Great Yen. Han Ju's sword was extremely terrifying. He couldn't help but break out in cold sweat when he recalled it. Taoist. Reincarnation. The mighty figures of the world live in seclusion. So, I'm the frog in the well. Shengguan Qiujian sighed. They sensed Li Qingzi and the others flying over and immediately left. On the other side, after returning to the Khanate cave abode, a line of words appeared in front of Han Ju. Shengguan Qiujian has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 3 stars, Han Ju shook his head. These geniuses were all of the same nature. They would develop a favorable impression of him just by getting beaten up. Han Ju caught the aura of Li Qingzi and the others patrolling around. He suddenly felt that he was lacking something. Every time he wanted to intimidate the enemy, he had to do it with such fanfare. It was truly not low profile. No. I have to figure out a way to deal with the enemy without causing a stir. Han Ju frowned and started thinking hard. The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. Calm. Demon King Dian Su was going mad. Ever since that strange injury, he would experience that nightmare again every 3 years. He had no idea what the problem was. If it was really an immortal, why didn't he just kill him? The Demon King no longer had any ambitions. All he could think about was how to escape this nightmare. On this day, his adopted son Yang Tiandong came to visit. Yang Tiandong was here to find out when Demon King Dian Su would attack the humans. Before he could ask, the Demon King began to pour out his grievances. Demon King Jian Su really couldn't stand it. Yang Tiandong was his adopted son, and he felt that he could be trusted. After hearing about Jian Su's recent situation, Yang Tiandong fell silent with a gloomy expression. He was overjoyed. My chance to rise is coming soon. Father, could it be related to your plan against the humans? Yang Tiandong asked carefully. Demon King Jian Su sat on the ice bed and said, I've long forgotten about this plan. Do you want me to swear to the heavens? The moment he said this, the Demon King suddenly perked up. Yes. If he swore to the heavens, the immortal would see it. Demon King Jian Su immediately stood up and raised his right palm. I, Jian Su, swear to the heavens that I will never target the great Yen humans again. I hope that the immortal deity will forgive me for my ignorance. With that said, Demon King Jian Su heaved a sigh of relief. Perhaps it was a form of consolation, but Demon King Jian Su felt that everything would be better now. Yang Tiandong congratulated him on the surface but secretly felt disdain. You want to be the king of the great Yen? Are you worthy? Half a year later. The source of this content is Light Novel World. Kong Shengguanqiujian and Huang Jihao returned to the true martial sect. After being defeated by Han Ju's sword, Shengguanqiujian's Dao heart was almost broken. In order to consolidate it, he continuously challenged the cultivation sects on the way back and restored his confidence. After bidding farewell to Huang Jihao, Shengguanqiujian returned to his pavilion. He was just about to open the door and enter. Right at this time, the sky changed. A purple multicolored light appeared. The sword at Shengguanqiujian's waist began to vibrate again, but this time, it did not automatically unsheath. He was not the only one. All the sword cultivators in the true martial sect looked at their swords in shock. Again. The last time, someone had comprehended the eternal sword Dao. What about this time? Shengguanqiujian immediately thought of Han Ju. Could it be that Senior has gained some insights into the sword Dao? Shengguanqiujian smiled bitterly. Compared to Senior reincarnation, he was truly immortal. It wasn't only the true martial sect. The swords of all the sects in the world were trembling. On the other side, at the top of a mountain peak that reached into the clouds, a black-robed man was meditating towards the east. A vast sea of clouds was surrounding him. He suddenly opened his eyes and saw that the four swords floating to his left and right were all vibrating. The black-robed man frowned and muttered, someone comprehended sword intent, at least the eternal level sword intent. He took out a talisman, placed it on the ground in front of him, and began to cast a spell with both hands. The four swords landed on the talisman one by one. 10 breaths later. Brush lines gradually appeared on the talisman, finally forming a huge word. Reincarnation. The black-robed man's expression was grave as he muttered, what does this mean? Reincarnation referring to the rules of the world, or a particular cultivator. Jade Pure Sect. From the elders to the outer sect disciples, their swords were all trembling. This caused everyone to be nervous and gather to discuss. What's going on? I'm not sure. The sky is changing color. Could it be that a powerful being has appeared? I think an immortal has descended. It is said that such a phenomenon occurred decades ago. The Jade Pure Sect is about to face a calamity. While the disciples were worried, the elders received news that the entire sky of the Great Yen was the same. They heaved a sigh of relief. It was fine as long as it was not against the sect. Li Qingzi's first reaction was to look for Han Ju, but on second thought, things were still unclear. It wasn't good to disturb him like this. Li Qingzi looked up at the purple sky and muttered, bad luck. Why are there so many disasters in my generation? The more he thought about it, the more depressed he became. He could only pray that it was not a catastrophe. At the same time, inside the Khanate cave abode. Sitting on the bed, Han Ju was surrounded by a strong wind. It was the wind formed by the sword aura. The pattern of a small sword appeared between his eyebrows. Han Ju was comprehending sword intent, one that belonged to him. Unconsciously, he realized that he had arrived in a flowing river of sword Tao. There were sword shadows all around him. They shot in the same direction at an extremely fast speed. 7 colored lights flowed, forming a strange space like a space-time tunnel. Han Ju's body moved forward uncontrollably. He was neither fast nor slow as he walked among the sword shadows. Figures appeared in front of him. They were formed by sword light and were blurry. These people walked very slowly and were surpassed by him. Han Ju entered a mysterious state. He was consolidating his sword intent. His sword intent pressed forward with indomitable might. It was overbearing and stretched out, and it intended to draw all living beings into it. It was impossible to escape, and it was like the 6 paths of reincarnation. He wanted to create such a sword intent. Why did he cultivate in seclusion all this time? For immortality. For the sake of being invincible. For the sake of annihilating all living beings in the world with a single sword strike. Visit Light Novel World. Com for a better experience. What he wanted was not destruction, but the ability to do so. Only absolute invincibility could truly allow one to live forever. In the river of sword Tao, Han Ju advanced step by step, surpassing the sword cultivators who were advancing on the path of the sword. In the river of sword Tao, Han Ju advanced step by step, surpassing the sword cultivators who were advancing on the path of the sword. This didn't represent strength, but comprehension ability. As he continued to advance, Han Ju's sword intent had a clearer will. He was suddenly curious. Who was at the end of the sword river? At this moment, a red figure suddenly turned around and shouted angrily, "Stop! A mortal dares to touch the immortal realm? You're courting death." Boom! A mysterious and terrifying sword intent erupted and swept towards him. In an instant, Han Ju felt the fear of death. The river of sword Tao shattered as well. Han Ju jolted awake and his consciousness returned to his body. He gasped in perspiration. Who was that person? This was the first time Han Ju encountered such a powerful existence. Just the sword intent alone was enough to tear him apart. Fortunately, the other party didn't have any killing intent. Otherwise, Han Ju's essence soul might have been destroyed. Looks like I can't be too greedy in the future. He had to know when to stop unless his cultivation was extremely powerful. Congratulations on comprehending a grand unity sword intent. It's called the reincarnation sword intent. As this is the first time you have comprehended a grand unity sword intent, you have obtained a numinous treasure. Congratulations on obtaining a 6th grade grand unity level numinous treasure, Calm Meditation Mat, 6th grade grand unity level numinous treasure. It can increase cultivation speed and suppress mental demons. Grand unity level. Could this be a level beyond the mortal realm? Han Ju thought silently and immediately took out the meditation mat. The mat looked very simple and was no different from the prayer mats of ordinary Taoist temples. However, the moment Han Ju sat on it, he relaxed completely. His nervousness from being scared off by the mysterious sword immortal vanished. Han Ju raised his right hand and a small sword condensed in his palm. Reincarnation sword intent. Visit Light Novel World. Calm for a better experience. He finally had his own sword intent. In the future, if someone came to challenge him, he would directly use the reincarnation sword intent to crush the target. He would try his best to not destroy the surroundings and not cause too much of a commotion. Han Ju took a deep breath and started cultivating. At the same time, the purple light in the sky began to disappear. The entire world was discussing this matter. Han Ju didn't appear, but many swindlers claimed that they were the destined ones who caused the abnormal phenomenon. Han Ju didn't know all of this. Even if he knew, he'd be indifferent. North Region, Demon Taming Sect. In an empty valley, hundreds of disciples sat together facing a stone tablet. On the stone tablet was a line of obscure blood-colored words. Su Chi was among them. He looked worried. He didn't want to cultivate the demon-taming sect's demonic arts. He didn't want to be a fiendish cultivator but a righteous cultivator instead. But why had his master not made a move yet? Ever since he joined the demon-taming sect, he had often been bullied because he did not want to follow the fiendish cultivators to do evil. Not fitting in, he would naturally be ostracized. Fortunately, the disciples who had bullied him had died for some strange reason, so no one dared to provoke him now. Su Chi knew that his master was helping him secretly. It seemed that the demon-taming sect was still very powerful. Even his master did not dare to attack rashly. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared next to the monolith. All disciples, hurry to the sect. Elder Shao Yi is dead. All disciples, go and pay respects. The newcomer shouted. His words caused an uproar. An elder had fallen. In the demon-taming sect, one had to be at least at the void amalgamation realm to become an elder. A void amalgamation realm mighty figure had perished. This was no small matter. The disciples stood up and flew towards the sect. Su Chi followed the crowd and was secretly excited. Could it be Master? It should be him. No sect in the North State would dare to provoke the demon-taming sect. Even a void amalgamation realm cultivator wouldn't die for no reason. For more, visit Light Novel World. Calm on the other side, in a temple. Shao Yi's corpse lay on the ground. A huge cauldron was beside it with a candle in it. Green smoke protected his weak soul. More than 10 high-ranking members of the demon-taming sect stood around. Sect Master Tu Quan's expression darkened. Junior Shao Yi, do you have any last words? They had already tried their best, but there was nothing they could do. Shao Yi's soul would only last a little longer before dissipating and entering the cycle of reincarnation. From then on, they would be separated by life and death. Even if he was reincarnated, they wouldn't be able to recognize him in his next life. Shao Yi was in a state of confusion, having already experienced despair. Before his death, he recalled and realized that all of this had happened after he had left the Great Yen. He thought of Han Ju's beautiful face. For some reason, he had a strong feeling. Ever since his plan was broken by Han Ju, he had never been happy. All kinds of unlucky things kept happening. After cultivating for a period of time, it was always easy to encounter inner demons. Excluding all possibilities, the last seemingly impossible one was definitely the truth. Shao Yi's eyes gradually regained their glow. He looked at his fellow disciples and gritted his teeth. Don't go to the Great Yen. Don't go to the Great Yen. Don't provoke the Jade Pure sect of the Great Yen. These were Shao Yi's last words. He couldn't understand how Han Ju harmed him, but his intuition told him that it was definitely related to him. Mysterious and bizarre enemies were the most terrifying. Shao Yi did not want the demon-taming sect to follow in his footsteps. As for revenge, Shao Yi had been through so much bad luck that he no longer wanted revenge. All he wanted now was for the future of the demon-taming sect to be safe. And for himself. He just wanted to reincarnate in a nice place. Tu Quan frowned and asked, "Is it because of the Jade Pure sect that you have been so miserable?" He turned to the others. What is the Great Yen? Everyone shook their heads. They had never heard of the Great Yen. Shao Yi's soul body started to dissipate. He weakly said, "Senior, don't help me take revenge, never provoke the Great Yen's Jade Pure sect." Before he could finish, his soul completely vanished. Everyone from the demon-taming sect fell silent. Follow current novels on Light Novel World. Calm. There was only one question in their minds. Where was the Great Yen's Jade Pure sect? After comprehending the reincarnation sword intent, Han Ju went into seclusion for another 8 years. 8 years was nothing to him and the Jade Pure sect, but to the disciples of the sect, it was a very long time. Sitting on the calm meditation mat, Han Ju was already close to the 9th level of the void amalgamation realm. It had to be said that a grand unity numinous treasure was indeed impressive. On this day, Han Ju left the cave abode to check on the Fusang tree, while stretching his body as well. Sun Chang'an saw an opportunity and hurriedly stood up, imitating his actions. Han Ju looked at him and started checking his emails. Your disciple Yang Tiandong was attacked by a demon king. Your good friend Zhou Fan is being hunted by 10 sections. Your good friend Zhou Fan was attacked by a righteous cultivator, X483, your good friend Zhou Fan is seriously injured. He met a powerful being and escaped from danger. Your enemy Xiao Yi has perished. His soul has entered the cycle of reincarnation. Your good friend Fairy Shi Xian accidentally entered the ruins of the ancient Holy Land. Your pet, the chaotic heavenly dog, was attacked by beasts, X6942, your pet, the chaotic heavenly dog, incites the anger of the humans and demons. Han Ju noticed that Xiao Yi had actually died. He was pleasantly surprised. Apart from increasing his cultivation level, cursing him was the only thing that made him happy during his boring years. It seemed that the Book of Misfortune was still effective. Han Ju had always been worried that the demon-taming sect would attack. Now that Xiao Yi was dead, he probably wouldn't come again. After all, Xiao Yi didn't know that he was the one cursing him. Xiao Yi was gone. The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. He could only curse Demon King Jian Su in the future. It was unknown how long Jian Su could last. The north of Great Yen was covered in snow. The north of Great Yen was covered in snow. In a cave, Yang Tiandong knelt on the ground and shivered. "Ah! This king can't take it. Why is this happening?" Demon King Jian Su grabbed his hair and roared. That damned mysterious power was interfering with his cultivation again. He had already sworn to the heavens, so why was he still suffering like this? Yang Tiandong was also very curious as to who Demon King Jian Su had offended to be able to curse him endlessly. To make Demon King Jian Su so mad, it must be a powerful being. Most importantly, although Demon King Jian Su was mad, he didn't dare to scold the other party. He was still very fearful. Demon King Jian Su's eyes were blood red. He stared at Yang Tiandong and said in a low voice, "Tell me. What do you think I should do?" Yang Tiandong rolled his eyes and said, "Father, is it possible that, the immortal deity does not believe your words? If you personally visit the human sects and become friends with them, perhaps the immortal deity will change his opinion of you." Upon hearing this, Demon King Jian Su's eyes lit up. This made sense. But there are so many sects in the Great Yen. Should I visit them one by one and smile at them? Of course not. You just have to pay a visit to the strongest sect. Which sect is the strongest in the Great Yen? The Jade Pure sect. I was a disciple of this sect previously. I might be able to speak up for you and save some misunderstandings. All right. Let's go to the Jade Pure sect tomorrow. No, today, now. I really can't take it anymore. Less than half a year after Han Ju learned that Xiao Yi had died, Demon King Jian Su rushed to the Jade Pure sect. Yang Tiandong asked him to wait nearby while he visited his master. Han Ju was the deity-slaying elder of the Jade Pure sect. It was very easy for him to have conflicts with Demon King Jian Su. Yang Tiandong knew his master very well. Although he kept a low profile and claimed to be afraid of death, if the Jade Pure sect really encountered trouble, he would definitely not let it go. However, Jian Su was not a weakling. Yang Tiandong didn't want them to fight. Inside the Khanate cave abode, When Han Ju learned that the Demon King Jian Su was here, his first reaction was to enter the simulation trial. The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. Demon King Jian Su was very powerful. Han Ju used 10 seconds for the first fight. No way. As a cultivator at the 8th level of the Void Amalgamation Realm, it actually took him 10 seconds to kill a 4th level Body Integration Realm cultivator. Han Ju ignored Yang Tiandong and continued the simulation. This time, he directly activated his trump card. The Primordial Judgment Sword used the Reincarnation Sword Intent and the Six Paths Spirit Energy to execute the Heavenly Punishment Ghost Deity Sword, instantly killing Jian Su. Han Ju was relieved now. It was fine as long as he could kill him instantly. He opened his eyes, looked at Yang Tiandong, and asked casually, "Why is Demon King Jian Su here at the Jade Pure Sect?" This time, his attitude was completely different, giving Yang Tiandong a sense of fearlessness. Yang Tiandong secretly admired him. As expected of his master, he was truly clever. The fact that Demon King Jian Su could wait outside already indicated his attitude. If it was the sect master, even if he knew of Demon King Jian Su's attitude, he would still be nervous. Yang Tiandong began to describe what had happened to Jian Su. Han Ju almost laughed out loud after hearing it. Demon King Jian Su actually suspected that it was the work of an immortal. This was also good. Having an ally was better than having an enemy. Yes, bring Demon King Jian Su to see Sect Master. I'll send a voice transmission to him now, Han Ju said. Yang Tiandong was overjoyed. He quickly bowed and left. Han Ju sent a voice transmission to Li Qingzi. When Li Qingzi learned of this, how could he dare to refuse? He had heard of Demon King Jian Su's reputation. Just like how the Chinese knew of the demon ox, the legend of the Demon King Jian Su was deeply rooted in the Great Yen. It was all thanks to the dog slave-like old tree demon who spread it everywhere. News of Demon King Jian Su's visit quickly spread throughout the sect. The disciples were extremely nervous. They didn't know that Demon King Jian Su had come to discuss matters with the Jade Pure sect and thought that a war was about to break out. The 10,000 inner sect disciples were all on high alert. Ever since Taoist 9 cauldrons led the development of the sect, the number of inner sect disciples had exceeded 15,000. There were also more than 30,000 outer sect disciples. There were also 1,000 elite disciples in the secret hall. Not only that, but the Jade Pure sect had also recruited nearly 10 nascent soul realm guest elders. Their overall strength was already rushing towards the strongest of the Great Yen. Follow current novels on Light Novel World. Han Ju didn't cultivate and kept paying attention to the situation of the main peak. Fortunately, Demon Monarch Jian Su was indeed afraid. He spoke to Li Qingzi in a very calm manner. The two of them only chatted casually and did not discuss any conditions. Demon King Jian Su only came to express his good intentions. He hoped that the two forces would form a friendly relationship and not become enemies in the future. Li Qingzi naturally would not reject. After chatting for 4 hours, Demon Monarch Jian Su left with Yang Tiandong. Before leaving, Yang Tiandong bid farewell to Han Ju. After he left, Han Ju was still a little unhappy. But this was also good. Yang Tiandong had someone to rely on and didn't have to trouble him in the future. Han Ju decided not to curse Demon King Jian Su anymore unless he caused trouble. Sigh, Demon King Jian Su has surrendered. Xiao Yi is dead. There are no more daily targets. Han Ju sighed and felt a little regretful. Forget it. Cultivation was the only companion on the long road of life. Han Ju continued cultivating. His goal was to break through to the 9th level of the Void Amalgamation Realm as soon as possible. 7 years later, Han Ju finally broke through to the 9th level of the Void Amalgamation Realm. Awesome! Han Ju finally saw a glimpse of the Body Integration Realm and was extremely happy. After reaching the 9th level, he would accumulate 6 paths spirit energy to reach the perfected stage. It would take at most a few days. As for breaking through, it would only take a few days. Since Han Ju had nothing to do, he opened his interpersonal relationships to check his emails. Your good friend Zhou Fan was attacked by a righteous cultivator, X8932, your good friend Zhou Fan has perished. Your good friend Fairy Shi Xian obtained a fortuitous encounter. She gained enlightenment of the Great Tao and her cultivation level increased. Visit Light Novel World. Calm for a better experience, your good friend Zhou Fan has reconstructed his body through the help of a mighty figure. He has successfully revived and his cultivation has increased greatly. Your pet, the chaotic heavenly dog, was attacked by beasts, X7843, your divine pet, the chaotic heavenly dog, was severely injured. Fortunately, it had good luck and managed to survive. Your good friend Huang Zuantian has consumed a natural treasure. His cultivation potential has increased. Ha! Zhou Fan died and then revived. How ridiculous. Han Ju felt that if he didn't come to this world, Zhou Fan would definitely be the protagonist. He wondered just what sort of collision would occur between Zhou Fan and Su Qi if they met. It was worth mentioning that he did not see any email from Su Qi. He guessed that this fellow was cultivating in seclusion to increase his cultivation. Su Qi was in seclusion. The world was peaceful. Despite this, Han Ju hoped that he wouldn't enter seclusion during this period of time. In addition, the chaotic heavenly dog was too unrestrained. Han Ju suddenly didn't dare to be its master anymore. How many enemies had it made? Huang Zuantian's luck was good. Treasures that could increase one's cultivation potential were all legendary treasures. That made sense. With the 9 Dragons sect in Huang Zuantian's hands, it was not difficult for him to gather resources. The cultivation world was as exciting as ever. Zhou Fan and the chaotic heavenly dog had probably already made their mark and were stirring up trouble all around the world. Through the emails, Han Ju seemed to have read many novels and benefited greatly. It was still the same logic. If he didn't seek death, he wouldn't die. Enlightened old monster has hatred towards you. Current hatred points, 4 stars, Han Ju was confused. Who was enlightened old monster? Good. The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. I was just worrying about how useless the Book of Misfortune had become when you came knocking on my door. In a cave, Xing Hongxian looked warily at the gray-robed elder. In a cave, Xing Hongxian looked warily at the gray-robed elder. The gray-robed elder snorted and said, "Little girl, your husband can't possibly be more talented than my disciple. Give up on him. I can let bygones be bygones and bring you to the formless sect. This is a great opportunity that many people dream of." This gray-robed elder was enlightened old monster. Xing Hongxian had accidentally entered this cave decades ago to comprehend a cultivation technique. She had met enlightened old monster by chance. However, the two of them had only nodded to each other and did not speak much. Later, when enlightened old monster left, Xing Hongxian also returned to the Jade Pure sect. Recently, Xing Hongxian felt that something was missing, so she rushed back to this mystic realm and found this cave to continue cultivating the divine technique. Coincidentally, enlightened old monster returned. He was shocked to discover that she had already mastered the technique and wanted to take her in as his disciple. Xing Hongxian rejected him at first, but since he kept pestering her, she had to admit that she was already married. Enlightened old monster had a high cultivation level. After calculating with his fingers, he realized that Xing Hongxian was not fated to be married. Xing Hongxian could only helplessly say that she had already agreed to marry an elder from the same sect. This infuriated enlightened old monster. This was also the reason why Han Ju received 4 stars of hatred. Xing Hongxian shook her head. Thank you for your kind intentions, Senior. I really don't want to leave my husband. On the other side, Hanju also discovered their conversation through the heavenly puppet. Hanju felt that it was impossible for there to be hatred for no reason, so he started checking from the three heavenly puppet. As expected, he found Enlightened Old Monster here. Enlightened Old Monster said helplessly, "Little girl, your great yen is only a small place. As for the Jade Pure sect, I've never heard of it. This mystic realm is connected to many places. If you join the Formless sect, you'll be able to see a wider world. As long as you're willing, I can conceal your information. Think about it for a while longer. 10 years later, I'll come again. If you're willing, you can cut off all ties and wait for me here." With that, Enlightened Old Monster left. After Hanju heard that, he was secretly angry. "So you're here to steal her from me?" He couldn't help but use his divine sense to observe Xing Hongshuan's expression. After Enlightened Old Monster left, Xing Hongxian revealed a look of disdain. She shook her head and continued to study the cultivation technique on the cave wall. For more, visit Light Novel World. Calm not bad. She wasn't tempted. Inside the Khanate cave abode, Hanju used his interpersonal relationships to check on Enlightened Old Monster. Enlightened Old Monster, 7th level of the Body Integration Realm, Sect Master of the Formless Sect, a great expert. Because you are the husband of his beloved disciple's prospective wife, he is dissatisfied with you. If Xing Hongxian agrees to leave with him, he will kill you to prevent all future troubles. Current hatred points, 4 stars, the Sect Master of the Formless Sect. Hanju touched his chin and fell into deep thought. After a while, he began the simulation trial, raising Dian Su's cultivation level to the 7th level of the Body Integration Realm. It took him 2 minutes to defeat him. Enlightened Old Monster was definitely stronger. I can't kill him instantly. That's an issue. It looked like he had to break through to the Body Integration Realm as soon as possible. Hanju immediately held his breath and sought to reach the perfected Void Amalgamation Realm as soon as possible. 5 years later, Hanju finally reached the perfected Void Amalgamation Realm. Before he broke through, he took out the Book of Misfortune and cursed Enlightened Old Monster for 4 days and 4 nights straight before heading to the 10,000 Demon Realm to break through. He first contacted Daoist Jingshu to clear the 10,000 Demon Realm. Daoist Jingshu did not delay and immediately made arrangements. Li Qingzi had instructed her that she must satisfy all of Hanju's requests immediately and not be negligent. 4 hours later, the disciples at the 10,000 Demon Realm were chased out by the various elders. This caused a huge commotion in the inner sect. But when they heard that it was the deity-slaying elder's request, all the disciples were no longer unhappy. The Body Integration Realm's tribulation was terrifying. Even when Hanju activated the barrier, it still caused a huge commotion. The elders gathered and felt the vast heavenly might, all of them trembling in fear. How strong is deity-slaying elder? Looking at the commotion, he has probably surpassed the ancestor. Stop marveling. How can the cultivation will of the deity-slaying elder be compared to us? This is not something that can be achieved through cultivation alone. His talent is definitely the strongest in the Jade Pure sect. With the deity-slaying elder around, the Jade Pure sect became as powerful as it is today. Most importantly, he did not consolidate his authority. It's admirable. Listening to the elders' discussion, Li Qingzi held his head high as if he was bragging. Guan Yugang had a complex expression. He looked at the apocalyptic scene in the distance, his eyes filled with awe. At this point, he didn't blame Hanju at all. Instead, he started to cultivate with Hanju as his target. Unfortunately, the gap between them still grew. Perhaps one day, he can ascend to become a true immortal. Guan Yugang thought silently. On a wasteland, a half-naked man sat in midair. Countless bolts of lightning descended from the sky and intertwined with his body. This person was Zhou Fan. Not far away, Mo Fuzhou and a woman in a purple dress stood side by side. After so many years, Zhou Fan and Mo Fuzhou were no longer young and immature. They had matured and their aura was even more powerful. Zhou Fan's body had a visual impact during the tribulation. It was like the sacred body of an ancient god, indestructible. Carrying a sword on his back, Mo Fuzhou had a demonic aura. He asked, "Senior, what relationship do you have with my junior brother? How can you be so generous?" Not only had the purple-dressed woman resurrected Zhou Fan, but she had also helped him cultivate. Under her guidance, Zhou Fan's strength had soared. Now, Zhou Fan was breaking through to the nascent soul realm. In fact, his strength was already comparable to a nascent soul realm cultivator, having previously killed one himself. "This junior brother of yours was fated to be with me in my previous life. He saved me once. I'm still indebted to him." Previous life? Mo Fuzhou couldn't help but be curious. The purple-robed woman said wistfully, "Speaking of which, it's still his providence that's powerful. The opportunities he obtained previously made him sufficiently powerful. I'm just taking advantage of the situation. In the future, he will stir up a storm in the world. Perhaps, he will reach the Mahayana realm again." Again? Mo Fuzhou was secretly shocked. Could it be that Zhou Fan was a Mahayana cultivator in his previous life? He's about to succeed. I have to leave as well. To save him, I asked my senior sister for a favor. I have to return it. The purple-robed woman shook her head. With that said, she turned around and prepared to leave. Mo Fuzhou hurriedly asked, "May I ask for senior's Dao title, how will we repay you in the future?" The purple-robed woman leaped up. A cloud appeared beneath her feet, carrying her to the horizon. Her voice entered Mo Fuzhou's ears, "It's best that you don't know my Dao title, lest you attract trouble. The only thing I can tell you is that my surname is Xian." Xian. Mo Fuzhou frowned. Thinking back, he had never heard of a powerful cultivator with the surname Xian. He looked at Zhou Fan again. 10,000 Demon Realm. After 10 days and 10 nights of tribulation transcendence, Hanju finally succeeded. Body Integration Realm. He had finally reached the Body Integration Realm. He was extremely excited. Detected that you have successfully broken through to the Body Integration Realm. You have the following choices: visit Light Novel World. Come for the best novel reading experience. 1. Come out immediately and show the world how powerful you are. You can obtain a numinous treasure and a mystical power inheritance. 2. Continue to cultivate in seclusion. Cultivate in a low profile. The target is to be the strongest in the world. You can obtain a natural treasure. Hanju chose the second option without hesitation. Hanju chose the second option without hesitation. Come out now. Impossible. Hanju had already come into contact with a Mahayana realm cultivator. In his opinion, it would definitely be dangerous if he didn't reach the Mahayana realm himself. Otherwise, why would Zhou Fan die in his previous life? Even the Mahayana realm might not be safe in this world. You chose to continue your seclusion and cultivate in a low profile. Stay away from the secular world and obtain a natural treasure. Congratulations on obtaining the Earth Immortal Gourd Seed. Earth Immortal Gourd Seed, it blooms in 1,000 years and bears fruit in 10,000 years. It can be eaten or used to refine Dharma treasures. If the fruit is nurtured for a long time, it can automatically become a Dharma treasure and give birth to life. Hanju blinked. The first thing he thought of when he saw the seed of the Earth Immortal Gourd was the Calabash brothers. Next was the legendary Khanate Gourd in Chinese mythology. Hanju continued to consolidate his cultivation and opened his attributes panel. Name, Hanju, lifespan, 356/27900, race, human, mortal transcendence stage, Cultivation, Level 1 of the Body Integration Realm, Technique, 6 Paths of Reincarnation, can be inherited, Magic, Unparalleled Finger Divine Sword, 7 Illusionary Steps, 3 Pure Shadow Sword, Unparalleled, 9 Dragons Devil Expelling Seal, Major Kiliacosm Thunderstorm, Wind God Technique, Still Phase Technique, Mystical Power, 6 Paths Soul Absorption, Heavenly Punishment Ghost Deity Sword. Imitate Heaven and Earth, Somersault Cloud, 10,000 Sword Sect, can be inherited, Tathagata Incantation, 6 Paths Ultimate Seal, Firmament Sword Chi, Equipment, Golden Cicadas Mystic Divine Robe, 7th Grade Numinous Treasure, Little Universe Belt, Qilin Sword, Demon Binding Rope, Burning Fiend Bell, 6th Grade Numinous Treasure, 9 Stars Spirit Trampling Boots, 5th Grade Numinous Treasure, Frost Lord's Glazed Crown, 4th Grade Numinous Treasure, Book of Misfortune, Supreme Grade Numinous Treasure, Earth Emperor's Soul Ward, 3rd Grade Numinous Treasure, Heart Protecting Immortal Chain, 3rd Grade Numinous Treasure, Calm Meditation Mat, Grand Unity 6th Grade Numinous Treasure, Sword Intent, Reincarnation Sword Intent, Grand Unity, Self-Created Mystical Power, 3 Pure World Cleansing, Eternal, Birth Dharma Treasure, Primordial Judgment Sword, Cultivation Potential, Spiritual Physique of the 6 Paths. It contains top-notch wind, fire, water, earth, wood, and thunder cultivation potentials. Increases providence to a certain extent. Follow new episodes on the Light Novel World. Com Platform. Connate Providence is as follows: Unparalleled, Immortal Beauty, Top-Notch Charm, Destined Sword Fanatic, Top-Notch Sword Dao Aptitude, Top-Notch Sword Dao Learning Ability, Unparalleled Movement Technique, Top-Notch Movement Technique Aptitude, Descendant of the Immortal Emperor. After the game begins, you will receive an unparalleled cultivation technique. Check interpersonal relationships. 27,900 years. Amazing. As expected of the 6 Paths of Reincarnation Technique. The higher one's cultivation realm was, the faster their lifespan would increase. Hanju was arrogant now. The increase in lifespan felt better than the increase in cultivation. Hanju felt a greater sense of security. With his body integration realm cultivation, not to mention Great Yen, he was already a top-notch expert in the cultivation world. But it was not enough. He had to continue cultivating. As for going out to have fun, what was the rush? How long would Hanju's lifespan be when he reached the Mahayana realm? At that time, he would have plenty of time to be carefree. Today's bitter cultivation would be the foundation for him to be carefree in the future. Several days later. After Hanju's cultivation completely stabilized, he stood up and left quickly. He did not greet the elders in the distance to avoid trouble. The elders did not mind. Instead, they admired him even more. As expected of the deity-slaying elder, his Tao heart was truly firm. If such a person did not become an immortal, who was worthy of becoming one? After returning to the entrance of the Connate cave abode, Hanju bumped into Xing Hongxian. The black hell chicken was beside her, chatting with her. The source of this content is Light Novel World. The black hell chicken could now expand and shrink as it pleased. It was now about the size of a normal rooster. Sun Chang'an was still meditating under the Fusang tree, not daring to approach Xing Hongxian. As soon as she saw him, Xing Hongxian immediately pounced over. "Husband, have you broken through?" Xing Hongxian asked excitedly. Hanju rarely left the cave abode. As long as he left, it must be to break through. Hanju nodded and said, "Let's go in first." The two entered the Connate cave abode. The black hell chicken wanted to follow but was blocked by the array formation. It arrived in front of Sun Chang'an and smiled. "Do you think Xing Hongxian will eat master?" Sun Chang'an's face twitched. "Perhaps." Hearing the black hell chicken's words, Sun Chang'an suddenly thought of his beloved, and a small flame ignited in his heart. Damn it! Is this foul chicken doing this on purpose? This sentence was too hurtful. Sun Chang'an's heart, which was as dry as a well, stirred again. The seal of the love tribulation began to loosen. Although my master doesn't like to go out, there are always women who come looking for him and want to eat him. What do you think will happen if they are alone in the same room? Will our master be in danger? Sun Chang'an glared at it and cursed, "Get lost. Go cultivate." The black hell chicken was depressed. What was wrong with this kid? What a temper. Inside the Khanate cave abode, Xing Hongxian stood in front of Han Ju and became angrier as she talked about enlightened old monster. She was unhappy with the elder's high and mighty attitude, as if the Jade Pure sect was a remote village and Han Ju was only a mortal. Han Ju smiled and asked, "What he said is true. Aren't you tempted? Visit Light Novel World. Come for a better experience." Xing Hongxian sat down and smiled as she replied, "How can that be? I'm going to keep pestering you. My husband will definitely become an immortal. I'm still waiting for you to rise up." As she spoke, she took out a bottle of pills from her sleeve and said, "I found this bottle in the mystic realm. The spirit chi is very strong. I only sniffed it, and my golden core became unstable. Therefore, it doesn't suit me. It should suit you, my husband." Han Ju took the bottle and opened it. Spirit chi was indeed abundant. He injected his six-path spirit energy into it. There was no danger. "Yes, thank you." Han Ju smiled. Xing Hongxian smiled. Several days later, she left the cave abode in satisfaction. On the wasteland, the setting sun was like blood as it continued to the end of the world. Zhou Fan and Mo Fuzhou sat on a huge rock. After successfully breaking through, Zhou Fan was in high spirits. From time to time, he would twist his neck and admire his perfect body. "Senior, let me take revenge for you first. After that, I plan to conquer the world and make a name for myself. I want to be number one in the world." Zhou Fan said proudly, his tone filled with confidence. Mo Fuzhou said helplessly, "You're only at the nascent soul realm. How dare you be so arrogant?" Zhou Fan smiled and said, "I'm not stupid. I'll definitely start challenging cultivators of the same cultivation realm. I want to prove to her that I'm worthy of her." A few decades ago, Mo Fuzhou and Zhou Fan met a woman. Zhou Fan fell in love at first sight and wanted to pursue her. However, she had a powerful background and said that it was impossible for them to be together. Even if they were in love, her father would not agree. If she wanted to marry, she could only marry a powerful cultivator. These words stimulated Zhou Fan. He hated it when others looked down on him. Therefore, he took the extreme path. Mo Fuzhou often advised against it, but it was useless. "Let's challenge the true martial sect first. I heard that there are many elites there." Zhou Fan smiled in high spirits. He suddenly thought of someone and smiled. "Senior, do you still remember Han Ju from the Jade Pure sect? You said that he might be the deity-slaying elder and that he had once killed a soul formation cultivator. I think that with my current strength, I can match up to a soul formation cultivator. Have I finally caught up to him?" Han Ju. Mo Fuzhou frowned and said, "Brother Han's aptitude is very high, and he has been cultivating in seclusion. His cultivation level is probably very high. I'm afraid that just the strength of the soul formation realm isn't enough to defeat him." After leaving Great Yen for so long, he wondered how the Jade Pure sect was doing. Zhou Fan shook his head and smiled. "How is that possible? It's not right to cultivate in seclusion. You and I are both mortals. How can cultivation alone be enough for a mortal to become an immortal? You have to seek opportunities in the world. Look at me, my cultivation level has advanced by leaps and bounds. My former enemy is also cultivating, but he's still stuck at his original realm. Visit Light Novel World. Come for a better experience. When I go back in the future, I have to spar with Han Ju and let him realize this." When the time comes, bring him along and the three of us will walk the world together and make a name for ourselves. Isn't that great? A Chinese cartoon. On the seventh day after Xing Hongxian left, Han Ju took out the seed of the earth immortal gourd and walked out of the cave abode. On the seventh day after Xing Hongxian left, Han Ju took out the seed of the earth immortal gourd and walked out of the cave abode. He came to the Fusang tree and buried the seed in the soil. He then injected his six-path spirit energy to nourish it. He had to personally plant such a treasure. Sun Chang'an's cultivation techniques were limited. Most of the time, he let the Fusang tree grow on its own. Fortunately, the divine tree was strong. "Master, what's this?" Sun Chang'an asked curiously. Han Ju replied, "A gourd seed. You have to take care of it in the future." Sun Chang'an was curious. Where did Han Ju get a gourd seed? As the Fusang tree continued to grow, Sun Chang'an discovered that this tree was not simple. The amount of spirit chi it gave birth to was already huge, and its yield exceeded all the other treasures on the mountain. Sun Chang'an wasn't stupid. Was such a treasure really from the Jade Pure sect? When Li Qingzi passed by earlier, he was still very shocked. His master's background was far beyond his imagination. Han Ju observed the Fusang tree for a while before returning to his cave abode. He had just broken through to the body integration realm and was not in a hurry to cultivate. He took out the Book of Misfortune and prepared to curse enlightened old monster. "You dare to steal my companion and want to eradicate me for good?" Making his mind, six-path spirit energy surged into the Book of Misfortune. The Formless sect was a cultivation sect that had been passed down for nearly 10,000 years. It had deep foundations. The mountain gate was like a fairyland. There were continuous mountains and clouds. Rows of white cranes could be seen flying past. There were also oxen and horses galloping above the colorful clouds. There was a majestic waterfall between two 10,000 feet high peaks. At the bottom of the waterfall, a figure sat on the surface of the lake, enduring the terrifying impact of the waterfall. Strong winds swirled around him as if blades were slicing water. Enlightened old monster stood on the grass by the lake. He stroked his beard and looked over with a satisfied smile on his face. With Xiener's potential, he will definitely be chosen by the heavenly immortal manner. Enlightened old monster couldn't help but smile when he thought of his disciple, Dong Wangxian, stirring up trouble in the heavenly immortal manner and eventually becoming a top-notch cultivator in the world or even ascending. His aptitude had already reached its limits, and it was very difficult for him to break through to the tribulation transcendence realm. Thus, he placed his hopes on his disciple. The source of this content is Light Novel World. Calm at this moment. Enlightened old monster's vitality suddenly became chaotic. His essence soul shook, and the world spun around him. His body swayed and he nearly fell. A mouthful of blood flowed down his throat. He couldn't help but spit it out. He hurriedly sat down and began to circulate his energy to heal his injuries. Under the waterfall, Dong Wangxian opened his eyes. Two beams of light shot out from his eyes, piercing through the water. He immediately stood up and appeared beside enlightened old monster. In the light of the sun, Dong Wangxian stood bare-chested, his muscles clearly defined. He was not bloated or gaunt. He had an indescribable beauty to him. His features were angular, his eyebrows sharp, and his eyes bright. His wet black hair rose up steaming. Strands of black hair floated up and dried. Dong Wangxian frowned. "Master, what's wrong?" Enlightened old monster did not open his eyes. Instead, he gritted his teeth and said, "Someone is cursing me." Enlightened old monster was a body integration realm cultivator, after all. His knowledge was greater than that of Xiao Yi, Taoist Calm Sky, and Demon King Dian Su. He understood his own cultivation very well. He couldn't have suffered such a heavy injury for no reason. Someone must be cursing him behind his back. Dong Wuxian frowned even harder and asked, who could it be? Tell me, I'll go and kill him immediately. I'm not sure either. I can't deduce the origins of this curse. You don't have to worry about it. Cultivate well and try to master the mystical power as soon as possible. After Enlightened Old Monster finished speaking, he did not say anything else and focused on healing his injuries. Dong Wuxian was about to leave and Enlightened Old Monster spat out another mouthful of blood. How strong is the enemy to be able to make a 7th level body integration realm cultivator suffer like this? Dong Wuxian was deep in thought. He cursed for half a day. When the system indicated danger, Han Ju stopped and started healing. Several days later, he recovered. That guy must be suffering. Han Ju thought proudly. Then, he returned to his cultivation. The source of this content is Light Novel World. He was no longer afraid of Enlightened Old Monster attacking him. After all, he was also at the body integration realm. Han Ju first cultivated the 7th level of the 6 paths of reincarnation technique. The 7th level of the mental cultivation technique was much more profound than before. Cultivating it was also more complicated. 10 days later, Han Ju grasped it with his powerful aptitude and started to absorb qi to increase his cultivation. Han Ju was pleasantly surprised to find that as his cultivation level increased, his cultivation speed didn't slow down. It was mainly because his potential also began to show. He breathed in the spirit qi of heaven and earth like a whale swallowing water and could feel his cultivation level increasing every day. Apart from his aptitude, it was also thanks to the Fusang tree and the spirit qi that he had cultivated on this immortal mountain. Every once in a while, Li Qingzi would get someone to come to the Cultivate diligently become immortal mountain and plant even better natural treasures, causing the spirit qi to constantly increase. He wanted Han Ju to be unwilling to leave. Although Han Ju said that he didn't want to leave and was afraid that there would be too much trouble outside, Li Qingzi knew that once Han Ju felt that there was insufficient spirit qi here, he would definitely leave. It was the same for the founder back then. Cultivation was endless, and the seclusion of powerful cultivators took decades. In the blink of an eye, 15 years passed quickly. Han Ju successfully broke through to the 2nd level of the body integration realm. He had already taken the pill that Xing Hongxian had given him. That pill could actually strengthen his physique and increase his cultivation level. Han Ju had always been a spirit qi cultivator. His spirit energy could allow him to kill enemies at a higher cultivation level, but the strength of his body was similar to those at the same cultivation level. Fortunately, he had many numinous treasures that could defend his body. After the breakthrough, Han Ju left the cave abode again. He walked in front of the Fusang tree and stretched his muscles. The seed of the earth immortal gourd had already started to grow vines that wrapped around the Fusang tree like a green snake. It was still too early for the earth immortal gourd to bloom and bear fruit. Han Ju only hoped that it could help strengthen the spirit qi here. As he stretched, he opened his interpersonal relationships to check his emails. After so many years, he wondered how his friends were doing. Your pet, the chaotic heavenly dog, was attacked by beasts, X18928, your disciple Su Chi was attacked by a fellow disciple, X76, your disciple Su Chi has fallen into the abyss. His fate is unknown. For more, visit Light Novel World. Your disciple Su Chi spread bad luck. The luck of the demon-taming sect is declining. The chance of the entire sect's disciples encountering inner demons has increased. Your pet, chaotic heavenly dog, was attacked by righteous cultivators, X3422, your good friend Chang Yue has comprehended the sun and moon. Her cultivation has increased greatly. Your good friend Taoist 9 Cauldrons was attacked by demons and was severely injured. His life is hanging by a thread. Your good friend Zhou Fan was attacked by a righteous cultivator, X4893, your good friend Mo Fuzhou was attacked by a righteous cultivator, X4211. Han Ju was secretly shocked. How tragic. Almost everyone was beaten up. Su Qi had fallen into the abyss, probably because of the demon-taming sect. They were in trouble now. Also, the chaotic heavenly dog was truly mad. It provoked enemies everywhere and constantly fought. Just as Han Ju was thinking, Sun Chang'an suddenly said, "Master, recently, the Fusang tree will shake on its own at night." "What's going on?" Puzzled, Han Ju asked, "Shake on its own? Has it become a spirit?" Sun Chang'an shook his head. He didn't know, either. Han Ju probed the Fusang tree with his divine sense but didn't sense the existence of an essence soul. If it became a spirit and developed intelligence, it would definitely have an essence soul. Han Ju decided to observe carefully. The Fusang tree must be sick. Night fell. Han Ju walked out of the Khanate cave abode and found that the Fusang tree was indeed shaking as invisible hands were shaking the trunk. Sun Chang'an was obviously a little afraid and stayed far away. Han Ju observed for a while, then his expression became strange. Could it be? Follow new episodes on the Light Novel World. Com platform. What was the Fusang tree summoning? Northern Yen. Northern Yen. Inside the Khanate cave abode. Demon King Jian Su opened his eyes and frowned. Ever since he went to the Jade Pure sect, his nightmare had come to an end. Therefore, he had made the best use of his time to recuperate until today. But recently, he had been feeling uneasy. This uneasiness came out of nowhere. Even his demonic blood stirred. What's going on? Is that immortal trying to harm me again? The more he thought about it, the more miserable he felt. After being sealed for 2,000 years, he had been heavily injured before he could even take revenge. Demon King Jian Su felt that his subordinates were laughing at him. The more he thought about it, the more frustrated he became. An evil fire burned in his heart. He really wanted to slaughter the entire Great Yen. Forget it. He had to endure it. Demon King Jian Su sighed and closed his eyes to continue cultivating. Above the sea of clouds was a huge mirror-like lake. Surrounded by clouds, it was as beautiful as a painting. Xian Qingjun and a purple-robed woman sat by the lake. The purple-robed woman was the mighty figure who had saved Zhou Fan. "Senior sister, aren't you ascending?" The purple-robed woman turned her head and asked. Xian Qingjun didn't open her eyes as she replied, "It's not time yet." The purple-robed woman clicked her tongue in wonder. "I really don't understand all of you. You could have ascended at the Tribulation Transcendence realm. Even now that you've reached the Mahayana realm and have completely elevated your body, you can already do well in the immortal realm. What are you waiting for?" Xian Qingjun didn't reply but asked instead, "How is Zhou Fan?" "Don't mention it. Compared to his previous life, this kid is like a completely different person. He's extremely impatient and might even need me to save him one day. However, he already completely trusts me. Yes, this child is an important part of our plan. Don't let him die, and don't let him resist you. He won't. This child lacked love since he was young. If you treat him well, he will be loyal. Speaking of which, I have a Tao companion in the Jade Pure sect." "Ah. Senior sister, you actually found a partner." The purple-robed woman's eyes widened. She immediately became interested and kept asking about him. Xian Qingjun recalled the past and smiled. "I wanted to see the sect Zhou Fan was from. I didn't expect to meet a kid that I liked. This kid is an ascetic. After so many years, he might have reached the soul formation realm." The purple-robed woman said in surprise, "His potential isn't inferior to Zhou Fan's?" "Of course. I'll bring you to see him next time." Xian Qingjun smiled when she mentioned Han Ju. Even after walking around the world, she found that Han Ju was still the most handsome man she had ever seen. His personality was also very likable. At this moment, the surface of the mirror quickly turned fiery red. The wind howled, and heat waves scattered the sea of clouds. Xian Qingjun and the purple-robed woman immediately stood up. They looked down and saw a huge firebird with a wingspan of 1,000 feet flying past. The purple-robed woman asked in astonishment, "Divine beast Zhu Do?" "The legendary divine beast that represents calamity." Xian Qingjun frowned. "This Zhu Do isn't mature yet, but it's already filled with the aura of misfortune. Something must be attracting it. TSK, I wonder which place is so unlucky to attract the Zhu Do." Ever since he discovered that the Fusang tree would shake every night, Han Ju began to feel uneasy. He felt that the tree would attract something. Could it be the legendary golden crow? Impossible. Isn't the golden crow hanging in the sky? The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. He didn't see the sun getting lower. Han Ju paid attention. He didn't dare to focus on his cultivation. Several days later, Li Qingzi came to visit. After entering the cave abode, he sat on a chair and said with a smile, "Elder Han, recently, the Jade Pure sect has welcomed a joyous occasion. We discovered the ruins of an ancient sect with many resources inside. There are cultivation techniques, treasures, and even Dharma treasures. Do you want to take a look?" Han Ju frowned and asked, "Has this matter spread?" If such an opportunity were to spread, it would definitely attract all the cultivators in the world. Of course not. This is a secret of the sect. Elder Guan has already brought 5 elders and 100 core disciples to guard it. The teleportation formation is about to be set up. When the time comes, the disciples of the Jade Pure sect can directly enter the ruins. Li Qingzi smiled proudly. Over the past few years, the Jade Pure sect had been steadily developing. They did not provoke any enemies, and more itinerant cultivators joined the sect. Most of the cultivators in the cultivation world had forgotten about the deity-slaying elder, but the upper echelons of the various sects still remembered him. Therefore, they didn't dare to provoke the Jade Pure sect or even stop its development. Han Ju nodded and said, "That's good. I won't go. Be careful. Usually, this kind of ruins might have restrictions." "I understand. If I find any treasure that can increase spirit chi, I'll get someone to send it over." "Thank you, Sect Master." "You're welcome." The two of them chatted briefly before Li Qingzi left in a hurry. Han Ju's mood improved. He was very satisfied with the peaceful strengthening of the Jade Pure sect. The stronger the sect was, the more he could cultivate in seclusion in peace. Han Ju suddenly realized that Sun Chang'an was gone. He immediately used his divine sense to track him and discovered that he was in an inn in the inner sect city. In the northern part of Great Yen, flames appeared in the sky, illuminating it. The ice and snow on the ground melted at a speed visible to the naked eye. Countless demons escaped from their cave abodes and looked towards the horizon, including Demon King Dian Su. For more, visit Light Novel World. Calm as Dian Su stood at the entrance and looked at the sky, the light from the fire illuminated his face. He was shocked. "That's Zhu Do. How is that possible? Oh no." Almost scared out of his wits, Dian Su immediately entered the cave abode. Mud rose from the cave entrance and quickly formed a mountain wall. The divine beast Zhu Do spread its wings and flew over. It was like the legendary golden crow sweeping across the land. Wherever it passed, the ice melted, turning into a lake before evaporating into smoke. Zhu Do was shaped like a firebird. It had a head like a dog and 3 legs. Its claws were different from that of a ferocious bird and more like dragon claws. The overall appearance made it look extremely powerful and unstoppable. The thousands of miles of snow melted under its heat. Its eyes glowed like torches as it looked in the direction of the Jade Pure Sect. Jade Pure Sect, Inner Sect In. In the guest room, Sun Chang'an sat at the table with a wine cup in his hand. He smiled and said, "Qianer, how do you feel about coming to the Jade Pure Sect? I've already joined the sect for decades. If you encounter any trouble, you can look for me anytime." He looked at a graceful woman by the window. She was dressed in green. Her long hair reached her waist and her skin was fair and beautiful. Although she was not so beautiful that she could cause the downfall of a city, she was still a rare beauty. The woman called Qianer tucked her hair behind her ear and said, "Chang'an, you don't have to treat me like this. It's really impossible between us. Perhaps you're doing well in the Jade Pure Sect, but I can't give myself to you for the sake of benefits." Sun Chang'an's heart ached when he heard this. He gritted his teeth and said, "Why? Because of my looks. I can put on a handsome face." Qianer turned around and looked at him. Her beautiful eyes were filled with dissatisfaction as she said, "What is real is real. What is fake will always be fake. If I love you, even if the seas run dry and the stones crumble, my heart will never change. If I don't love you, even if the world is destroyed and only you and I are left, I will never fall in love with you." Heartache. Sun Chang'an crushed the cup in his hand. His palm did not bleed, but his heart did. At this moment, the light of the fire shone on Qianer's back, and a hot wind blew in. Sun Chang'an's eyes widened. Qianer subconsciously turned around and saw that the sky was quickly dyed red. A sun was speeding over from the horizon. Updated from Light Novel World. Calm Divine Beast Zhu Do. "What's that?" Qianer asked in horror. "What's that?" Qianer asked in horror. This was the first time she had seen such a terrifying scene. Sun Chang'an walked to her side and was also shocked when he saw this. It wasn't just them, even the 18 peaks, Inner Sect, and Outer Sect noticed this scene. Boom, the Jade Pure Sect exploded into a commotion. More and more disciples flew up on their swords and looked into the distance in horror. "What's that? The sun. Oh my God, demons are attacking. What a terrifying heat. When it comes, won't the sect be destroyed? Am I seeing things? It's over. What should we do? Activate the sect protection formation." As the disciples discussed in horror, the elders immediately raised the sect protection formation. Li Qingzi had just walked out of the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain and had yet to return to the main peak when he saw Zhu Do coming in menacingly. His eyes widened like he was seeing a ghost. At the same time, a line of words suddenly appeared in front of Han Ju. "The divine beast Zhu Do is attacking. It wants to occupy the Fusang tree." Zhu Do, 5th level of body integration realm, divine beast of calamity, son of the vermilion bird. Bearer of connate misfortune and burns with the flames of the sun, capable of destroying the world. Han Ju was shocked. Divine beast Zhu Do. The divine beast of calamity. Han Ju hurriedly flashed out of the cave abode. He appeared at the edge of the cliff and looked at the sky. The sky was already dyed red as if dusk had fallen. Zhu Do, the divine beast, was rapidly growing in size. It was getting closer and closer to the Jade Pure Sect. Han Ju felt the terrifying heat and instantly determined that the Jade Pure Sect protection formation might not be able to withstand it. Once the Zhu Do landed on the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain, everything on the mountain would turn to ash. Not only that, but the entire Jade Pure Sect would also be destroyed. "Master! Run!" The black hell chicken flew to Han Ju's side and shouted nervously. Han Ju frowned and didn't answer. The source of this content is Light Novel World. Calm, he sent a voice transmission to the Zhu Do, "Stop." However, the Zhu Do completely ignored him and instead accelerated. The terrifying heat burned the forest on the ground, and the fire spread to the Jade Pure sect at an unbelievable speed. At that moment, all the disciples of the sect were frightened. Li Qingzi subconsciously flew towards the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain, wanting to seek Han Ju's help. However, before he entered the mountain, he saw a sword beam fly out from the immortal mountain. It tore through the sky. The sword beam was extremely eye-catching in the fiery sky, like a shooting star in the night. Many disciples witnessed this scene. That sword light was Han Ju. This time, Han Ju didn't fly on his sword. Instead, he rushed towards the Zhu Do at full speed. He couldn't let it approach the sect, or it would be finished. A mountain of natural treasures that had been nurtured for 200 years could not be destroyed like this. Han Ju took out the primordial judgment sword and activated all the numinous treasures on his body. 7th grade numinous treasure, Golden Cicada's mystic divine robe, activated. 5th grade 9 stars spirit trampling boots, activated. 4th grade Frost Lord's glazed crown, activated. 3rd grade Earth Emperor's soul ward, activated. 3rd grade heart protecting immortal chain, activated. 6th grade numinous treasure, burning fiend bell, shielding him from above. In an instant, Han Ju couldn't feel the heat of the Zhu Do's fire. The Zhu Do clearly saw Han Ju and accelerated towards him. It opened its mouth as if it wanted to swallow him whole. Divine Beast Zhu Do has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, 5 stars, damn it. What a vile beast. It hated him so much the moment they met. Go and die. Killing intent burst out from Han Ju's eyes, and he suddenly slashed with his sword. The reincarnation sword intent fused into the sword blade. 6 paths spirit energy transformed into sword chi and erupted like a volcano. Updated from Light Novel World. A black sword chi appeared in the sky like a black crescent moon, shocking many disciples of the Jade Pure sect. Heavenly Punishment Ghost Deity Sword. Boom! The sword chi collided with the Zhu Do and exploded as the divine beast stopped moving. But it wasn't dead yet. Although it was only at the 5th level of the body integration realm, it was a divine beast. Its strength and physical strength far exceeded that of a spirit. Even so, facing Han Ju's domineering sword, the Zhu Do still fell into a daze. Han Ju didn't stop. He raised his sword and pointed it at the sky. A terrifying sword chi rushed into the sky, forming a huge vortex visible to the naked eye. Sword shadows condensed out of thin air. 3 pure world cleansing. In less than a second, more than 10,000 sword shadows shot towards the Zhu Do from all directions. The disciples of the sect only saw a sword flash before their eyes. Immediately after, the sword chi exploded. The intense light that burst forth caused the world to lose its color. They were shaken until they closed their eyes. Han Ju had already given it his all. If he couldn't kill the Zhu Do, he would fall into a fierce battle here. As it is your first time killing a divine beast, you have obtained a Sword Dao mystical power inheritance. Congratulations on obtaining mystical power, Heaven Earth Mystic Yellow World Piercing Sword Finger, Heaven Earth Mystic Yellow World Piercing Sword Finger, Sword Dao mystical power. Using the finger to shoot out sword chi, kill enemies 10,000 miles away. The strength and range of the sword chi depend on the user's cultivation level. Looking at the 3 lines of words, Han Ju heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the Zhu Do was dead. Han Ju opened his eyes and saw that the Zhu Do was falling. The flames of the sun on its body quickly shrank, exposing skin full of holes. It was a ghastly sight. After being killed by 3 pure world cleansing, it was no longer the same. It was like a huge bloody corpse. Boom! The Zhu Do's corpse landed on the ground. Han Ju waved his hand and used the Wind God technique to blow out the flames in all directions. Fortunately, it was not the legendary True Sun Flame. Otherwise, it wouldn't be extinguished by mere blowing. Han Ju looked at the corpse, not knowing what to do. At this moment, a familiar aura rushed over. Han Ju turned around and saw the black hell chicken flying over quickly. For more, visit Light Novel World. Calm, master, don't destroy the corpse. Leave it to me, the black hell chicken shouted excitedly. Han Ju was stunned. What does this chicken want? The black hell chicken landed in front of the Zhu Dou's corpse. It quickly grew taller and became a terrifying giant chicken taller than a mountain and began to peck at the corpse. Eating a divine beast? Shaking his head and ignoring it, Han Ju quickly flew back to the immortal mountain. Li Qingzi waited at the entrance and asked nervously, Elder Han, what demon is that? Han Ju replied, I'm not sure either. It's already dead. My chicken is eating its corpse. Tell the elders not to disturb it. He didn't dare to say that it was a divine beast. Killing a divine beast would easily leave others speechless. The reason why divine beasts were divine beasts was that people believed in their identity granted by the immortals. Li Qingzi nodded and quickly comforted the disciples. After returning to the cave abode, Han Ju directly began to inherit the heaven-earth mystic yellow world-piercing sword finger. In the inn, Sun Chang'an wiped the sweat off his forehead and smiled. It should be my master. The calamity has been resolved. Regardless of the apocalypse, my feelings for you will not change. Qian'er was shocked. Is your master the legendary deity slaying elder of the Jade Pure sect? Sun Chang'an nodded. I heard that he's very good looking. Sun Chang'an's smile froze. On the other side, the disciples of the sect did not see clearly who had slain the divine beast, Zhu Dou. However, the sword beam had come from the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain. They guessed that it was the sect's most mysterious elder. Several hours later, Han Ju had already grasped the heaven-earth mystic yellow world-piercing sword finger. The Jade Pure sect regained its calm. After eating the divine beast, the black hell chicken returned to the mountain forest behind the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain. It seemed to be refining the Zhu Dou's flesh and blood. Han Ju scanned the surroundings of the sect with his divine sense and heaved a sigh of relief. How dangerous! This calamity struck because of the Fusang tree, but he wouldn't reveal its secret. Divine Beast Vermilion Bird has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, 5 stars. Seeing a line of words jump out in front of him, Han Ju's smile froze. Updated from Light Novel World. Calm. Divine Beast Vermilion Bird. Divine Beast Vermilion Bird. Han Ju came back to his senses. His first reaction was to think that the vermilion bird was crazy. It couldn't control its own child. Why blame him if it died? The Zhu Dou had caused the deaths of countless lives along the way. However, the vermilion bird was too famous. Han Ju still cautiously checked his interpersonal relationships. The image of the vermilion bird was that of a bird, a perfect fit for Han Ju's imagination. Vermilion bird, mid-stage Grand Unity Earth Immortal Realm, Connate Divine Beast. It has a strong providence and is filled with hatred for you for killing its son. When you ascend, it will definitely seek revenge on you. Current hatred points, 5 stars, Grand Unity Earth Immortal. Gasp, Han Ju was shocked. It was so strong. He didn't know if there was a power difference between the Mahayana realm and the Grand Unity Earth Immortal realm. Regardless, they weren't existences Han Ju could fight against. But why would the vermilion bird only seek revenge after he ascended? Could it be that it couldn't descend into the mortal world? Very likely. Perhaps this was an immortal rule. It seemed that if he wanted to ascend in the future, he had to at least be stronger than the vermilion bird. Otherwise, it would be very dangerous. Han Ju thought as he silently took out the Book of Misfortune. He wondered if the book could curse a divine beast. Han Ju cursed for a while but didn't suffer any backlash. It seemed to work. He decided that in the future, while cultivating, he would curse enlightened old monster and the vermilion bird. The next morning, Sun Chang'an returned to the Fusang tree in a daze. Last night, he got drunk at the inn. The wine of the Jade Pure sect was unordinary. Cultivators could also get drunk after drinking it. This drunkenness caused Sun Chang'an to fall completely into the love tribulation. Han Ju came out of the cave abode and stopped in front of him. The source of this content is Light Novel World. Calm Sun Chang'an was in a trance and didn't notice his arrival. Han Ju frowned and couldn't help but recall Sun Chang'an's background. The ancient spiritual ginseng had reincarnated. In the previous life, it was nurtured by the Buddhists. Due to its fate with the demoness, it fell into a trap of love. The gods and Buddhas were furious and threw it into the mortal world to experience the tribulations of love. Only by completely forgetting itself and severing emotions would it be able to escape the pain of reincarnation. This was the 39th life. Sun Chang'an was born into a cultivation family and was extremely talented. However, he was ugly and was not liked by Qian'er. After being rejected by her many times, he was heartbroken and ended up becoming a monk. Han Ju used his divine sense to capture the scene of Sun Chang'an and Qian'er talking. That scene. He was basically a simp. No. That was a modern term on the internet. Here, it was called deep affection. One-sided deep affection. Han Ju didn't know how to persuade Sun Chang'an. This was a love tribulation. How could he persuade him with words? Han Ju called out, "Disciple." Sun Chang'an was stunned for a moment. When he saw him, he slowly got up and knelt in front of Han Ju. His emotions suddenly erupted and he cried, "Master. I feel so bitter." For some reason, Han Ju thought of Zhu Beiji. The two had the same trait. They were both ugly. Han Ju sighed and said, "Disciple, relationships between men and women are bitter. This is the reason why I have been in seclusion." "But why would so many beauties come to you of their own accord?" "I only like one woman, but she." Sun Chang'an cried bitterly. Halfway up the mountain, a sleeping black hell chicken rolled over. "Idiot, can't you cultivate properly?" It harumphed. After eating the zhu dough, it could clearly feel its bloodline transforming. Excited, it felt that it would become very strong. It even began to look forward to the chaotic heavenly dog's return to challenge it. "Oh, doggy. I'll let you know how powerful your father is." On the other side, faced with Sun Chang'an's question, Han Ju said calmly, "It's only because I'm powerful. In this world, the strong are respected. If your cultivation is the best in the world, how can that woman not fall in love with you? Your cultivation is average and you don't look good. What does she want from you? Your sincerity. Sincerity is the most worthless thing in the world. Cultivate the heartless flying sword I taught you. This technique can help you become the number one in the world." Hearing this, Sun Chang'an looked up. His face that was covered in snot and tears became even uglier. Han Ju almost turned his head away in disgust. He suddenly understood Qian'er. However, all of this was the fault of the gods and Buddhas. They deliberately made Sun Chang'an look so ugly. Han Ju had tried to change Sun Chang'an's appearance, but he quickly recovered his ugly face. It was very strange. Sun Chang'an's eyes widened. "Really? Why would I lie to you?" If someone else said this, Sun Chang'an would definitely not believe them. But since it was Han Ju, he believed him. Currently, Han Ju was indeed the strongest existence he knew. Thinking of Xing Hongxuan's attitude towards Han Ju, Sun Chang'an was immediately ignited. Heartless flying sword. I must cultivate it until the end. Han Ju didn't say much. Some words were meaningless. What he said was not entirely true. Humans were very contradictory existences. When they were weak, they would look down on sincerity and only want to become stronger. But when they were strong, they would pursue sincerity. Han Ju went down the mountain to find the black hell chicken. After confirming that it was fine, he returned to the Khanate cave abode. After being hated by the vermilion bird, Han Ju felt a sense of urgency again. Although the bird couldn't come down now, what if it could come down in the future? He had to hurry up and become stronger. 3 years later. The matter of the divine beast Judo attacking the Jade Pure sect had been settled. Very few people in the sect talked about it, but it caused a commotion in the cultivation world. When the Judo swept up the Great Yen, the scene was very impactful. Many people saw it. There were also scouts from various sects in the Jade Pure sect. When they learned that the Judo had been insta-killed by the deity-slaying elder, they were so frightened that they didn't dare to have any ill intentions. They could only try to befriend the Jade Pure sect and try not to incur any grudges. There were no demon spies in the sect. The intelligence of the scouts from the various sects was not made known to the public. Therefore, the Judo's death was a secret that the demons couldn't find out. Demon King Dian Su was very curious about where the Judo had gone. Could it be related to the Jade Pure sect? This was the first time Dian Su feared the Jade Pure sect. This sect was not simple. On this day, Li Qingzi came to visit Han Ju. He came in front of him. Before he could speak, Han Ju said, "Don't look for me regarding the fortuitous encounter. I won't go." Li Qingzi coughed and said, "I didn't bring good news." Han Ju frowned and opened his eyes. Li Qingzi sighed and said, "The Blood Fire Heavenly Sect of Great Wei and the Formless Sect of Guyuan State have started a war. These two sects are huge entities, with Great Yen and the West Abyss State in the middle. Once the war begins, our two states will very likely be engulfed." Han Ju was speechless. They could fight despite being so far apart. Were they so free? Speaking of which, these two sects had a hidden grudge with Han Ju. It said that the prodigy of the Formless Sect, Dong Wangxian, killed the son of the sect master of the Blood Fire Heavenly Sect. The Blood Fire Heavenly Sect is in a state of high morale, so how could they tolerate it? They immediately started fighting. That body integration realm guest elder has already taken the lead in attacking the Formless Sect. Li Qingzi's tone was filled with envy. When would the Jade Pure sect have a body integration realm mighty figure? No. He would be satisfied with more void amalgamation and soul formation realm experts. Han Ju said, "It's fine. Let them fight each other. As long as they don't threaten the Jade Pure sect. If they want to destroy us along the way, you can rest assured with me around." Now, Han Ju's enemy was already the Vermilion Bird. What were the Formless Sect and the Blood Fire Heavenly Sect in comparison? In addition, an old blind man appeared in the ruins of the ancient sect we discovered previously. His abilities are unfathomable. We wanted to rope him in, but he never agreed. He's currently staying in the inner sect city. Elder Han, do you think you can help us convince him? Li Qingzi said in embarrassment, feeling a little ashamed. If he wanted to poach someone, he still needed the deity-slaying elder. He was indeed not capable enough. Upon hearing this, Han Ju immediately checked the strongest person in the sect other than himself. Xiao Yao, 9th level of the Void Amalgamation Realm. The #1 prodigy of the Heavenly Immortal Manor 5,000 years ago. The only survivor of the ancient spiritual firmament sect. Both eyes are blinded by heavenly punishment. Updated from Light Novel World. Calm the Pig and Journey to the West, you're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.